And just like that, it is Friday. Welcome in to Ben and Woods, 6 a.m. Always appreciate the tier ones who are up early, who are already in our YouTube chat. Good morning. I am Ben Higgins. Stephen Woods remains on his Hawaiian vacation. Did hear from him around lunchtime yesterday as he was playing some golf on the beautiful island of Kauai and having his normal hot dog at the turn. He was very excited about that. Otherwise, have not heard again from Woodsy, so he seems to be in fully vacation, relaxation mode. The opposite is true here. Paulie is in the least vacation mode he's been in a long time. Paul Reindl is the executive producer, imaging director, and co-host this week of the program. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning. Yeah, it's we've all gotten pretty good, I think, as a show of handling, like a day, maybe two, being a man down, 6 or 7 straight shows. It's been a long week.
This is our number 4, though, so we're kind of getting, and it's been a great week. Yesterday was
amazing,
really fun to have Uncle Ted Leitner was in studio. Had a number of people who came up to me last night when I was at work at Channel 10 saying how much they enjoyed that. You had the same experience. You were you were playing all your sports. Tier 1s had a game last night. A good one, too. Not a blowout this time, but another win. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, stayed undefeated on the young season, but first game that we've been tied in the 7th and, chippy, close games.
I saw a video. You got a hold of one.
I did not. Well, I hit a double.
Yeah, good sound off the bat, though,
that
from what I saw. Oh, that
was the home
you.
run.
Oh, that was the home run. I thought that was you.
No, that was the home run.
That was a video from a long distance away. I thought that was you.
Our girl Laura posted a video of her boyfriend Tyler, who I don't think that ball's landed yet.
Okay, that was the home run.
Yeah.
Your ball did not go over the fence.
No, I went over the center fielder's head.
That's not bad. You
scored the go-ahead run.
There you go. Congratulations.
But no, it's been a great week. I have, you said the least vacation I've ever felt. My vacation comes next week, and I will not be here a week from today. I'm going to the Foo Fighters concert next Wednesday night down at Petco Park. Very excited for that. It says on the tickets the show starts at 7:30, and there's 2, maybe 3 bands before them. I'm like, they're not hitting the stage till 10 o'clock.
Wow.
I'm not coming in on Thursday morning.
Okay, that's
and then
fair.
I will be on a plane on Friday morning after that, and then off the following Monday. So that's kind of my light at the end of a long tunnel here.
Trying to think of what my light at the end of my tunnel is, and I don't really see one actually.
You're lightless.
Just working and working and working like I was last night. Actually, last night was pretty quiet. Surprise, surprise, there was NFL football on last night on Channel 10. All of a sudden, it's football season. How did that happen? In fact, if the first game is any indication of how the season's going to go, not well. It got rained out in the third quarter. I mean, that was how bad the rain was in Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame game between the Bears and the Texans. That they got to the third quarter, they looked at the radar and they said, never mind, we're not gonna finish this thing. So anyway, so as I've been doing, and you've probably been hearing me talk about my SD fat loss journey, I bring my own dinner to work most nights. And I do most of my meal prep at the beginning of the week. And then I just portion it up into Tupperwares and bring it to work. Very, very domesticated of me, and just pretty responsible. And this week it has been broccoli with chicken in kind of a coconut curry sauce. Very good, very simple, light chicken breast and steamed broccoli. And I've tried to continue to eat healthy for the most part.
Just because I know you. Is that from Kevin's?
Yes, it is.
At Costco?
Kevin's
I've been getting
paleo,
a lot of that. Yeah,
paleo
so
sauce.
Good.
It really is good.
It's extremely easy to make and so good.
Not a sponsored post, but yeah, I get a lot of the Kevin's paleo, which is a fairly lower calorie option. The chicken is always really good. They cook it sous vide in these bags, and then all you have to do is, heat it up, and I add some vegetables, and that's pretty much what I do for my meals. But it's hard because it's Costco size. So, one package is usually like 4 or 5 days worth of meals. And by the time I get to day 4 or 5, I just don't like having the same thing for dinner like 4 or 5 days. I can do it 2 days. I can do like day and leftover.
Yeah.
But then you hit the third day and you're going, I'm really ready for something else. And then by the fourth day, like, okay, please, can I have something else to eat? And I was wondering, is that common for everybody? Or I'd imagine there are people who can eat the same thing like a week or two straight, and it doesn't matter. And there are some people who are like, I eat one thing, I want something else the next day. I don't want leftovers. Like my family, none of them eat the leftovers. When we have like extras, I'm the one who always ends up eating the leftovers because they're like the next day. Now I don't want to have it the next day.
Sometimes leftovers are even better.
I think so too.
The day after, yeah.
I think so. I think they're much better the next day usually. But
I don't know
some people are
why
not
that
leftovers
is.
people, and some people are leftovers people. And so, Paulie, what's your policy though on like just the same meal? Like you make a big portion of something, and then you have it for multiple straight days. Can you handle that, or do you feel like you need more variety?
Yeah, it obviously depends on the meal, but could I, if you're asking me like how long could I eat the same meal for?
Yeah, I mean, pick something you like, generally like.
I could eat the same meal for like probably a month, honestly.
Really?
Like I love, I guess it's so easy to deviate, but I love like chicken breast, like some rice and a veggie. I could eat that every single day. Now you can deviate the veggies or something and kind of mix it up, but
I'm talking about not mixing it. Mine's not mixed up. Mine was the exact same thing.
I would do chicken, broccoli,
the exact same
and
portion
rice.
every day this week.
I could do chicken, broccoli, and rice every day.
Every single day.
For like a month.
A month?
Yeah.
That seems that would be hard for me.
I wouldn't want
like the
to,
same
per
sauce,
se.
the same flavors.
Yeah.
See, like in this week I'm having it's like a coconut curry, so it's more of an Asian flavor. I would want to mix it up and go something more Mexican, in a day or two, and then
I would
Italian.
Want to. It's more like you're asking like, could I?
Yeah. I mean,
and of course anybody.
Obviously, we can.
Could.
I mean,
But yeah, I think I
can
could
alternative.
Eat. Of course, there's the unhealthy stuff where you're like, if my health and gaining weight wasn't an option, yeah, I'd have pizza every night, but can't do that.
Would you have pizza every night though? I mean, I would get very tired of pizza after like 2 nights. Like I love pizza, but I don't want it for dinner 7 straight nights.
Again, if it wasn't going to impact my health and make me feel like an absolute load, yeah, I'd have pizza every night.
Really?
Are you kidding me? Yes.
I could not do that. I'd have to have something else. I'd have to mix it up. Let's see. Marco in the chat says, I hate eating the same thing back to back. I hate keeping leftovers in my fridge. Yeah. Caitlin says, a whole month? No, definitely can't do that. But Jocelyn says, always take leftovers to work the next day. Oh, that's
good move.
That's a good move. I mean, if you had it for dinner the night before. See, now I eat my dinner at work. So my dinner, which is, still kind of your main meal of the day, is just always the same thing in the Tupperware. And then on the weekends, I usually branch out a little bit when I'm at home, do something else. Either we cook or we can go out or whatever. But when I'm at work, it's usually for 5 straight days. It's the same thing. And it's just a little bit too much for me. I can do 2, maybe 3.
So what
I
makes
hit day
dinner,
4 and it's like, meh.
I mean, I'm just thinking about my life. Obviously, we do switch up our dinners every night or every 2 nights if we make a lot of something on one night. But in the mornings, for example, my routine is the exact same every single day.
Oh, that's fair.
I have coffee and like a Greek yogurt every single morning, and I do not deviate off of that. And it's not a problem at all.
I think I got a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios for like 4 years straight at some point in my childhood in the morning, and I didn't.
So it's just the morning meal instead of the evening meal. It's kind of the similar, I guess.
It's actually fairly logical.
Lunch is like the one where I change probably the most, and I don't eat lunch a ton, but like if I do decide to go out and grab something on my way home or whatever, that's usually like, I'm not going to go to the same place twice in a row.
I guess in my mind, and you're right, it's very logical of you, Paulie. Dinner is more of like an event and more like important meal. So when I have the same thing, I feel like I'm depriving myself.
I get that for sure.
A little bit of some excitement. Dominic says, you have a cheat day, Ben? Not a specific cheat day, but I'm not trying to lose weight anymore. I'm just trying to maintain. So I've found that, if I want to do something on the weekends and I can eat what I want. I do pizza. I do things that I like for sure. But for the most part, when I'm at work, I try to be fairly disciplined in my dinner choices. And that's helped me maintain the weight loss that I had from last summer. and I'm still down over 40 pounds, which is really cool. But
Ben, you do a great
yes, I
job.
do. Thank you, Dave. I've done a really good job of losing weight and keeping that weight off thanks to sdfatloss.com. I'm surprised, though, a month straight of like the same thing, and you wouldn't get bored.
It wouldn't be my like preference, but yeah, I could do it.
All right.
I think I'm not gonna be an issue. Like I said, it's just if you look at it as 2 or 3 meals a day, like main meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. My morning meal is the exact same every single day. I have no problem with that.
Carl says, worst leftovers, French fries from my carne asada fries. You need to put those things in the air fryer to perk them back up if you're going to do that the next day. It's been a while since I've done that. That's
yeah.
There's a few things
It's been
that
a while
I've had
since
to
I've ordered carne asada.
Yeah, there's a
fries.
few things I've had to modify, and those like late night nachos or carne asada fries runs have pretty much dried up in the last year.
Air fryer is elite for reheating leftovers, though.
That is true. Pizza in the air fryer is
Don't do the microwave.
game changer.
Yeah.
Because it is so much better. You can still get it warm in about instead of 30 seconds, it takes like 3 or 4 minutes
yeah,
maybe, but
right. Worth it.
it is really worth waiting because it really tastes basically like it did when it came fresh out of the oven and you had it the first time. Whereas, of course, if you microwave the pizza, it's soft and soggy. And I'm not saying it's still not good because I'll eat it out of the microwave. I won't turn my nose up at pizza, but it is better when you stick it in the air fryer for about 3 to 4 minutes, and I usually do just about 300 degrees. You don't want to over crisp it or burn it, but that usually works pretty much perfectly for me on the leftover pizza.
Alan says, I have friends that are bodybuilding. They eat the exact same thing every day for months.
That's when you're training. I think that's supposed to be a good thing to like really just get locked in and the same. Your body gets used to it. It's building mass, muscle, whatever. You just keep going with the same high protein meals. So
Carl says, maybe I got to finally bite the bullet on the air fryer bit. It's not a bit, buddy. It's going to change the game for you.
It's really just so an air fryer is just a convection oven, and usually maybe a smaller one that you can put on your countertop that's a little bit easier. If you have an oven with a convection setting, though, that's essentially what an air fryer does. It circulates the air around it as it's reheating it, and that just has the effect of making things a little crispier when they're cooked without adding a bunch of oil or
We had air fryer salmon for dinner last night. Had 2 fillets, oiled them up, put a little seasoning on them, threw them in the air fryer. 8 minutes, perfectly delicious.
Wesley takes us in a completely different direction. He says cold pizza is the best. I don't really like cold pizza. I really need it to be heated up.
I don't mind it.
You don't mind it? I just feel like the pleasure of pizza is in the melty cheese. And if it's kind of gotten hard and stiff on top of the pizza, then you're just eating pizza and you're not getting the maximum benefit out of it. And one thing that I try to do, especially after losing the weight, is if I'm going to eat something that's like a treat or a cheat, I want to at least have it taste as good as it possibly can. Otherwise, I'm just jamming the calories into my face without really enjoying what I'm supposed to be enjoying.
So I'm just taken aback still from you saying hard and stiff.
Right.
What were we talking about? Pizza?
I don't know. I will tell you what is coming up on the show today. We'll set the menu when we come back. Should be a good FRIAR Friday. I think you have an idea of what we do on FRIAR Fridays, and that usually includes the manager of the Padres. Today should be no different, but hopefully we'll make it a fun show at the end of this week and just get us one day closer to Woods' return from Hawaii. That's the plan. Kelly's going to check traffic. We'll come back, let you know what we've got coming up on the program today with Ben and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Before we tell you about today's guests, I got a nice text here from yesterday's guest. Oh, this is nice. I don't think he'd mind if I shared it. From Uncle Teddy. Paul says, I had a ball, have not been in a studio like that in many years. And I asked him, if you remember at the end, I said, we need to do this when Woods is back, because he would really enjoy having you come in on a day that he's here. And he said, if you want me to do another hour when Woods is back from vacation, let me know. And he says, we can do sports as opposed to talking about me. Done.
Well, who didn't like hearing about Ted talking about Ted, though? That was so special.
I can understand why he may be a little uncomfortable, but
I get it. He needs to realize he's that much of an icon here in San Diego.
Everyone loved it.
So many messages yesterday from people that are like, that was so much fun. Thank you for having him in. Voice of my childhood. It was so great.
The best part, though, was Ted talking about Peter Seidler, right? I mean, I was looking at him, and you saw him if you were on our YouTube chat. He was getting like emotional, and you could see visibly what Peter Seidler meant to him. Obviously, meant to so much of us in San Diego. If you missed it, for people who early risers who weren't around for Ted, here's just a little clip of Ted talking about Peter Seidler yesterday in studio. Special treat this morning. We are in studio with Padres Hall of Famer. Only 17 Padres Hall of Famers in the 55 years of franchise history. Ted Leitner is one of them. They never take that away from you.
Wow, that is that says it. It really does. I can't tell you. I've never expected it. I never ever expected it. Thank you, Peter Seidler. Thank you so much. That was just unbelievable to me. And when Peter and I talked, and I said, my eyesight's starting to go from trying to track that little white baseball and all the travel and all that. I had gone and fell down the steps at the Westin Hotel in San Francisco on Union Square. We came in like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we go in the side entrance with the team buses with the Padres, and I'm carrying one suitcase in one hand and a carry-on in the other, and I'm going down the stairs, a long staircase. And I think, uh-oh, and I lose my balance. Old people lose their balance sometimes. And I go, boom, tumbling, butt over tea kettle, all the way down. Embarrassed. And the players, of course, they're no mercy.
Oh, of course,
no mercy. Yeah. It's like, which is a good thing, because they treat you like a teammate, because you've been there so long. And the Hispanic called me Joven. Young man, which they meant viejo. So either they called me Joven to be
it's ironic,
or they called me old man, and it was Joven. What's wrong? And just one comment after another. Come on, get up, get down the staircase. And I told Peter, I got to get out of here. And Peter said, hey, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. And I'm not boasting. I'm not patting myself on the back. But it was Peter and myself in his office for an hour before a Sunday game during that final season of 2020 for me. And he said, hey, you're an icon. You're a legend. Caminetti's gone, Tony Gwynn is gone, Jerry Coleman's gone, and I want you with the ball club. I want you around the ballpark, and I had tears in my eyes, trying not to bawl like a little boy, but no one ever said that to me, and I never heard that before. I never considered myself an icon, a Padre legend. That's the players, as far as I'm concerned, and for Peter Seidler to tell me that, and to treat me the way he did, so lovely, so nice. And it's hard, man, because I miss everything about it, win or lose. Even when I had losing seasons, I couldn't wait to get to the ballpark and see Jerry Coleman and laugh and have fun and travel with Jerry right across the aisle there in the first row and coach. It was just spectacular. So, Peter, thank you for everything, including the Hall of Fame.
I'm glad you brought up Peter, because I don't know how much I believe in karma and fate, but certainly remember 1984 after Ray Kroc passed away, and they were wearing the RAK patches, and now they've got the PS hearts that they're wearing, and they keep in the dugout. And there's undoubtedly, compared to last season, a magic about this year's team that was just missing last year.
It wasn't there, and I don't know why.
And now it is. And, believe what you want, Ted. What do you believe?
1 year soon, the baseball gods will smile on the San Diego Padres, and we will have a parade.
I mean, someone's looking over this team right now, it feels like.
I've been so lucky in my life. I worked for Ray Kroc, as you mentioned, and Joan Kroc. And Joan and I were extremely close, much closer than me and Ray. and she was like a sister to me. It was just unbelievable, and had John Moores, one of the great people of all time, and then I get to work for Peter Seidler. I don't know what I ever did in a former life to be so lucky and to work for people that they were going to make it a family here, and like culture in basketball teams, they all say that, but they're not. They're not families. Corporations, it's hard to be a family. We were family with John Moores. We are family with Peter Seidler, and now the Seidler family. And I just I find it to be pinch. How did this happen to me? But Peter, you watch over these boys, and they'll get to that parade.
Special treat this morning, and again, thanks for having him joining us in studio. Was a ton of fun. Now, speaking of Peter Seidler, does Woodsy still have to donate $100 to the Peter Seidler Legacy Fund for the Tier 1 win, even though he was in Hawaii for the game?
He better.
I think.
We got 2 more games while he's gone.
Maybe extra. Just to make up for the fact that he's not there.
To a $300 bill.
You owe $300 for 3 victories while you've been away.
He would pay that too.
All right, so that was yesterday's big guest. Today on the program, it is a FRIAR Friday, and we'll work backwards. Joining us at 9 o'clock will be the manager of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt. Another good week for his team after sweeping the Dodgers. They start a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies tonight at Petco Park. And, of course, we wouldn't be Padres fans if that didn't make us extremely nervous, because we remember what happened last time the Rockies came to San Diego. They swept the Padres 3 straight. And tonight's starter, by the way, Austin Gomber, beat the Padres 8-0 in that series. It may have been the worst game of the year for the San Diego Padres. And he will start tonight against Randy Vasquez in Game 1 of the series. So we'll get caught up with Mike Shildt, see how everything is going. Padres are really the talk of baseball right now. I heard so much Padres talk on a national level yesterday, and we're going to incorporate some of that discussion in our next segment when we come back about the not just the talk of what everyone else, but do you believe it? Do you believe the hype now? Because the hype is that the Padres have turned a corner, but I know that no one is more skeptical about the San Diego Padres than their own fans at times. So I'm wondering, are you buying into what we're hearing about the Padres being able to possibly chase down the Dodgers, and then when they do get to the playoffs, make a deep run, and maybe even this is the year, go all the way? We'll talk about those World Series chances for the San Diego Padres and take your phone calls coming up if you want to get online. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. No game yesterday, obviously, so we got some time to discuss the big picture issues with your San Diego Padres. 7 o'clock hour, our regular segments take on Woods. I don't know, is John here today? We may be just doing a
I think he's here.
Is he here today? We'll see if John can come over for a little take on John then. And then don't do this. In our 8 o'clock hour, Jordan Schusterman will be here from Cespedes Family Barbecue. Check in with our weekly segment brought to you by our friends at Grand Ole Barbecue. Paulie will have a Rindle report, and we will get you to the weekend, hopefully in one piece, and then one day closer to Woods coming back from his vacation in Hawaii. But I do want to hear from some of the Tier 1s. And I will. We've got a couple of audio clips, I think, from what people are saying about the San Diego Padres, and I'm always fascinated to hear what guys like Tony Kornheiser are saying about the Padres. Not that they have any special insight; they don't. They know less than probably 98% of the people who are in our chat right now about the San Diego Padres. But it still, to me, is interesting. So what is the perception now of the Padres, and why is that the perception of the Padres? So we've got some audio clips for you. We'll talk about it. Give us a call, 833-288-0973. We'll be right back with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Well, early morning Olympic update for you. We got the soccer quarterfinals on the television here in the studio. Team USA taking on Morocco for a spot in the semifinals, and Morocco with a 1-0 lead in the 36th minute right now. And then I've got the golf, not on television, but I got the leaderboard in front of me. Round 2 of the men's Olympic golf tournament. And look who is at the top of the leaderboard after a 5-under 66 today.
Is he an Aztec for life?
He is an Aztec for life. He's a two-time Ben & Woods guest just this year alone. Xander Schauffele at 11 under par, looking to defend his gold medal from Japan 3 years ago. He is in a three-way tie for the lead with Hideki Matsuyama of Japan and Tommy Fleetwood of Great Britain. Both of those guys have 4 more holes left to play, but at the moment, Xander Schauffele heading into the weekend in excellent position to add another medal to his trophy case, which now also includes, of course, the Wanamaker Trophy and the Claret Jug. So keep an eye on that, and this weekend should be fun. I'll definitely be watching a little Olympic golf in the next couple of days to see if Xander can do it again. John Rahm also just 2 off the lead at 9 under. So a pretty good leaderboard. Looks like a major, and kind of is a major in the golf world without the, money and world rankings points and everything else. Just the medal. That's all that's on the line for the golfers, but they got some of the best in the world. All right, we're gonna talk about the new, absolutely national perception of the San Diego Padres, that in 1 week, based on a good road trip, a 2-game sweep of the Dodgers, and a solid trade deadline, has pretty much turned 180 on who the San Diego Padres are. And we'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Got a couple of problems here, guys. One of them is a traffic alert eastbound 52 Santo Road. Some gravel in the roadway has been causing vehicles to swerve. One vehicle even facing the wrong way in the slow lane. So Caltrans bringing a sweeper to take care of all that mess. East 52 Santo Road. Just take it extra carefully through that area. Also want to mention that there's some heavy fog around parts of the county, so you might want to give yourself a little extra time. Cordell traffic cam shows a collision on southbound 805 just before Bonita. Car and semi involved in this one. That's been pushed over the right shoulder. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline instant oil change centers. You don't have to get out of your car, and it usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Baseball coverage on The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile. You can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator to find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. So I brought up yesterday, as I'm sure a lot of people were thinking about, with the Padres sweeping the Dodgers and moving within 4.5 games in the NL West, the possibility of chasing down the Dodgers and winning the NL West. And more than that, Paulie, honestly, winning the division, I know you can hang a banner, and I know that used to be really important, winning the division. It's not really that important anymore.
Couldn't care less, honestly.
Winning the only thing that's really great about winning the division, it guarantees you're going to the playoffs. But being the third division winner and the first wild card, there's essentially no difference whatsoever. Mm-hmm. You will still host a 3-game wild card playoff series. So winning the division just to win the division and say you beat the Dodgers, that's bragging rights. That's great for fans.
I'd rather beat them in the playoffs than win the division.
Yeah, you just want to get into the playoffs, and obviously you want to beat them when you get to the playoffs. Now, there is a benefit to being one of the top 2 division winners, and that is also in play, because if you catch the Dodgers, obviously you could also catch the Brewers, because the Dodgers are ahead of the Brewers right now, and get one of those 2 buys in the first round of the playoffs. That saves you from the possibility of getting eliminated in the wild card round. Believe me, that is a real value. And I get that there's the argument that the teams that have the buys sometimes get rusty and not playing for those 5 days, and they're at a disadvantage in the division series. You want the bye. The bye and the danger of being rusty is not nearly as big as the danger of actually being eliminated in the first series.
The only teams that say that are the teams that lose after having the rest. The teams that win go, oh, God, we could have, we needed that rest. Absolutely.
So obviously you're kind of hoping for that. And all of a sudden, everywhere I was turning yesterday, everyone was talking about the Padres, including you got a clip from, pardon the interruption, PTI, Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon ask the question.
I like that show. I don't watch it as much as I used to.
It's definitely days. On the better side of the talking head shows that are national.
It's always on. I always happen to see like clips of it, and I go, they probably don't talk Padres more than 5 times a year, maybe. Like, Tatis does something massive and newsworthy or something like that.
All right, to be fair, we have heard a lot of national hype for the Padres in recent years, but it's almost always in the offseason and spring training. The Padres,
on like MLB Network Radio, where you expect it.
But the Padres are going to be, this could be the year for the Padres. Once the season starts, though, they go back to either being ignored or disappointed. I mean, until in 2022, obviously, when they got to the NLCS, there was a lot of Padres talk. But even before that, it's all about the trades and what A.J. Preller has done and who he's brought in. That gets a lot of national attention. But the actual, prospects of the team, it doesn't get a lot of talk during the season.
Almost ever.
Like last year was all about just if they talked about them, it was how disappointing they were.
Again, foul territory on MLB Network, they'll talk about it. But as far as shows like Pardon the Interruption that we're about to play, First Take with Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp, they don't talk Padres rarely, if ever.
So the question was, can the Padres chase down the Dodgers and win the National League West?
Let's move to baseball. And the Padres closing the gap on the Dodgers. San Diego lit up Clayton Kershaw for 7 runs, 3 earned over 3 2/3 last night. The first start in Kershaw's career, his whole career, Tone, in which he did not record a strikeout. So the Padres take a 2-game series that have now won 9 of 11 since the break. Are you giving the Padres a real shot to make up that 4.5-game deficit on the Dodgers and actually win the NL West?
Can the Padres catch the Dodgers? Well, of course they can. The teams have 52 or 53 games left. They're going to play 3 games head-to-head in the last week of the season. The Padres have won 7 out of 10 from the Dodgers so far this year, so why can't they catch the Dodgers? They can.
They can. And they've had some success against the Dodgers head-to-head, something called the playoffs. So they're not running scared. They're not. And everything the Padres do, they're starting with their front office, which has traded away every prospect, it seems, for 100 years to go after this right now. I don't know whether I like that strategy or think, oh, my God, this could come back to kill you like it has the Lakers since winning that one championship in the bubble in 2020, and you trade away 8 or 9 guys who might make a run for you several other times. But okay, you can sit there and play that game as long as you want. Do you like the approach? The Padres are going for it. They are as talented as the Dodgers. I know you get Mookie Wilson back. You get other people back, and maybe the Dodgers are the more talented team. Maybe they inch ahead. But, Tony, this should be something we should like watching now that we're at the 1st of August. You got August and September to watch real pennant baseball, old-fashioned the way it used to be with rivals, geographic rivals going after each other. Yes, I think the Padres can do this.
They can. Look, I like the Dodgers more. But the Padres can do this. They just picked up, as you say, they go for it right now. They just picked up a couple of great relievers, right, in Tanner Scott and Jason Adams.
Well, they're bullpen.
They picked up Luis Arise earlier this year. Yes, I meant in the bullpen. They picked up Arise this year. I think they picked up Dylan Cease this year. They go for it, and they have real talent. And they can catch them.
They do.
I like the other team better, but it's a real race.
We were just talking before that clip about the national debate shows on ESPN or Fox Sports and how they don't typically talk baseball, let alone Padres. And it's probably because guys like Michael Wilbon, who I love, by the way, I love both him and Tony. Michael Wilbon thinks Mookie Wilson plays for the Dodgers.
All right. He confused the Mets center fielder from 40 years ago with the Dodgers outfielder slash infielder from today. Showed his old a little bit, but we all have those moments. Honestly, that was probably one of the better national discussions I've ever heard about the Padres.
Pretty good.
They kind of understand what the team is about right now.
They understand the risks that A.J. Preller has taken in mortgaging the farm, getting rid of, just clearing out all the prospects for the most part to go all in for this year and next.
And even when Tony Kornheiser says, I like the Dodgers more, but the Padres can still do it, that's fair. Dodgers have a better record. They've done more this year. If they get completely healthy and everybody back, I think most people in the national media would say they like the Dodgers. Now, if the Padres get everybody back, all right, we've got something to talk about again. If Tatis is back and playing like Tatis and Joe Musgrove comes back healthy, I think both teams can match up down the stretch. But that was a pretty decent discussion about the San Diego Padres. But that was far from it. I turned on MLB Network on TV, and they were ranking the trade deadline acquisitions. Number one, best trade deadline acquisition, Tanner Scott. Turned on MLB radio on Sirius to see if they were talking Padres, and they did. I think David Ardsma and some other co-host were doing a segment they called Fair or Foul. Basically, do you agree with this statement? And the question, and none of them totally bid on it, but they certainly had a discussion about it, was, are the Padres now the favorites to win the National League based on what they've done? And they kind of hemmed and hawed, and they go, I guess it's still the Phillies at this point, even though the Phillies have been struggling out of the All-Star break. And they had the discussion, are the Padres the favorites? And then I opened the UT, and Tom Krasovic says, is this actually the year? Are the Padres better set up this year, maybe than ever before, to make a run and win a World Series? I mean, you would have thought it had to be last year, but then never played out that way. You thought, oh, it's with Juan Soto, this is the team. They never played exactly like this, though. They had the nice run in the playoffs in 2022 when they got hot. Mm-hmm. Grisham hits home runs, Josh Bell hits home runs, Soto gets a little bit hot, and it carried him to the NLCS. And obviously, when you're that close, you feel like it doesn't get any better than that. This team, even more than that team, though, has had more, the moments, what's going on. They feel like they're more of a team, more of a championship type team. Am I crazy? Is this not?
I don't think you're crazy, but now I'm wondering if I'm crazy. I see Chris in our chat says, everyone calm down. And I'm assuming he's talking about this idea, this conversation that is happening on August 2nd. We still have 2 months of the regular season to play. This team has played roller coaster of a season where they win 5, lose 5, win 4, lose 4. Like, they have been a 500 team up until the last couple of weeks, and they go on this one, really their first real hot stretch of the season, and all of a sudden we're like, could they win it all? That's me kind of playing devil's advocate.
I get it.
Because I'm with you. They've got the pieces. They've shown you now for 10, 11, 12 games since the All-Star break that if this is who they are, they're as dangerous as anybody in the league.
I guess my reason for optimism, beyond just the fact that they're playing well right now, is that we have seen what these Padres look like when they're playing their best baseball. And yes, it's going to take their best baseball to win a World Series. You know why I know that? Because that's what it takes for every team. It's the team that plays their best baseball in October usually ends up winning the World Series. And when the Padres do play their best, they've already won the season series against the Dodgers, the Braves, the Brewers, the Orioles, the Guardians, all teams that could potentially be standing in their way. The teams that they haven't played as well against, the Phillies and the Yankees, have had their recent struggles, and the Padres are playing better. I'd be curious at least to see what those matchups look like now after the trade deadline with the Padres' new acquisitions, with maybe a newfound confidence, a little more spring in their step down the stretch. Would love to see those matchups again, in an NLCS against the Phillies and maybe a World Series against the New York Yankees. Can the Padres pull it off? Don't know that I'd make them the favorites to win the World Series. Certainly odds makers don't have them as the favorites to win the World Series. But definitely give them a fighter's chance with what they've done and the moves that they have made and how they are playing. Yeah. Absolutely, they've got it. Not an Arizona Diamondbacks. Oh yeah, we're going to shock everybody. Everybody's got that, 1 in 100. Like, okay, we just get hot in the right
Anybody that
time.
makes the playoffs
Anybody that makes the
can do
playoffs.
that.
I'm talking about like a legitimate, really like team to watch type vibe for the postseason. And I do think the Padres now have that based on how they've played, who they've picked up.
Yeah, right now they're playing like a team that I don't think anybody would want to face in a 7-game playoff series. But I lost my train of thought. Damn it.
It's fine.
What
could obviously undo that? There are a number of things. Number one, can the pitching rotation hold up? Both in the rest of the regular season and, of course, into the playoffs. We saw what happened in 2020 especially, and then in the NLCS in 2022. When the pitching goes, it can turn around so fast. And they're an injury or two at most away from all of a sudden being in real dire straits in the starting rotation. But if Joe Musgrove comes back, maybe if Yu Darvish comes back, you can't count on that. The depth will be a little bit better. You've got a deeper bullpen, so you won't be asking quite as much maybe out of your starters the rest of the way. They can make it. Will they? I don't know if they'll make it all the way. I'm not going to be shocked if in 2 months we're going, oh man, those last pitching injuries really torpedoed this Padres season. Absolutely could. But guess what? That is true of most teams right now. Most teams, if you took away 2 key starters going down the stretch, they're going to struggle. And unless they have a 8 or 9 game lead right now, they're not going to be able to withstand that. So the Padres are in the boat that a lot of teams are in, but it is something that could absolutely tank this season.
I find a little bit of confidence in this team in that, yes, while they have been a 500 team for the vast majority of this season, they've played very well against the good teams, and they've lost to the bad teams, which sucks. But the fact that you're beating up on the good teams, that gives me more confidence. That says more to me than losing to the bad teams. If they were 500 because they lost every game to the Dodgers and the Phillies and the Guardians and the Orioles, but they beat up on the A's, the Rockies, whoever, like that tells me you're not a good team.
By the way, Padres have quietly turned around all those narratives because we're not talking about them. I think they've won 11 of their last 12 against sub-500 teams. I think they've won 9 of their last 10 against left-handed starting pitching. Remember all those narratives? Padres can't beat a lefty. Padres can't beat a last-place team like the Rockies or the Angels. When they do, you don't even notice because they're supposed to do it. So we're not talking constantly about, well, yeah, Padres look good against that horrible team. Well, of course, they're supposed to look good against that horrible team.
Right.
Will they do it again the next 3 days when they're supposed to do it and just keep really doing what they've been doing now for the last month? That's all they need to do this weekend. Nothing new. Just keep doing what you've been doing for the past month. All right, we'll talk more about the matchup. If you do want to join this conversation, we'd love to hear from you. 833-288-0973. Also have an edition of maybe Take on John, qualifier maybe last Tier 1 for a trip to Las Vegas. All coming up on 97.3 The Fan. Don't go away. Now, the hype is one thing, but what's the math, Paulie? What's the Padres' playoff odds according to FanGraphs? That takes all the momentum and trade deadline out of it. That's just simply what the math is at this point in the season for the Padres to make the postseason.
Yeah, I like to give you trouble for a scoreboard watching a little.
But you
early, but
check every day.
I FanGraphs watch early, so yeah, they just go purely calculated, analytical point of view. They're not no emotion into it. So the looking at the NL West, the Dodgers have a 97.8% chance to make the playoffs. They have a 14.9%.
Let's get them down below 97.3 this weekend.
Yes.
That's the goal.
They got a 14.9 chance to win the whole thing, and they are the favorites in all of baseball according to FanGraphs. The Padres, they have a 14.1% chance of winning the division to the Dodgers' 77.5.
All right. So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a pretty good chance. Well, not a pretty good chance, but a chance. They have a 71.8% chance of just making the playoffs.
All right. So over 70%. It was down around 40.
Like not long ago, like during the All-Star break.
During the All-Star break, when they had just lost whatever it was, 6-7 going into the All-Star break, and we're just a game above 500.
And then they have a 5.2% chance of winning the World Series, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's 1 in 20.
5 or 6 best odds.
That's a 1 in 20 chance. I mean, 1 in 20 chances don't come through very often.
No, but the favorite is a 14.9% chance.
But they do. I think about like 1 in 20 that you get a blackjack in blackjack, like a Delta blackjack. I mean, it happens. It happens all the time. You're not expecting it on every single, hand, but you get them. They happen. 1 in 20 is not out of the realm of possibility. We're talking about the Padres World Series chances. If you want to join us, 833-288-0973. John's calling in. John, welcome on with Ben and Paul this morning on 97.3 The Fan. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, I think the question, can they catch the Dodgers? Absolutely. But in all respect to Mr. Schilt, they could also go 2-8 in the next 10 games. I mean, it's been such a roller coaster that, anything can happen. But, yeah, they could definitely catch them. I think the acquisitions they made at the trade deadline will help them. But they might have given up a little bit too much for it, I think. But the way I look at it, A.J. Preller's got to win now. He's got to win this year because I think, he was Peter Seidler's boy. And I think Peter Seidler had his back through these last 10 years of, losing records and managerial changes and all the stuff they went through. So I think, we went all in last year, and that turned out to be a disaster. But I think this year it's the same thing. I mean, I think he's got to win or he's gone.
I see what you're saying, John. I mean, that was the narrative going into the season. But quite frankly, and this isn't just my opinion, but the opinion around baseball is that A.J. Preller has done an outstanding job this year. I mean, like the best job he's ever done as general manager. It would be ironic after so many years of A.J. Preller not doing a great job and keeping his job than to finally fire him on the year where everyone is saying he did a phenomenal job this year. That would be ironic. Now, if the Padres collapse down the stretch, if they pull a 2021 and they end up finishing below 500, sure, that it still could be the end for AJ. But
it would be ironic, but it's absolutely possible.
When you talk to people around baseball, they probably more than us as fans even note the massive payroll reduction for the Padres this year. Getting under the salary luxury tax level while maintaining even just a competitive team on the field is a pretty difficult feat to accomplish. Most teams that slash $100 million in payroll, which I don't even know if that's ever been done by any team in one single season. The teams have done it, but it's taken 2 or 3 years. Padres with one of the biggest payroll drops in Major League Baseball history not only have remained competitive, in many ways, they've gotten better from last season.
Yeah.
AJ, who was it that said he should be the executive of the year? Jim Bowden.
Jim Bowden.
Jim Bowden said, AJ, bar none, hands down, and this is a former GM talking.
Said if he doesn't win it, like, what are we even doing?
Why do we even have the award if we're not giving A.J. Preller the Executive of the Year award? So I guess I'm hesitant to say if the Padres don't, win it all or even make the playoffs that he's going to get fired. It would be weird to, hand him his Executive of the Year award and then also say, hey, hand in your key card as well. You're also fired. Congratulations on the Executive of the Year award. So I don't know that his job is any longer in jeopardy, barring a complete collapse here down the stretch. But we'll see. I mean, the remains to be seen how these moves play out, the ones that he made at the trade deadline. We often get excited about A.J. Preller trades and think they always look really, really good on paper. Not all of them have looked as good on the field. Josh Hader was very exciting, and I don't want to say Josh Hader was a bad acquisition, but obviously there are factors that we don't see when the trades are made that have not worked out completely for the San Diego Padres. Mm-hmm. Tanner Scott seems to be the opposite of Josh Hader. Guy's going to be a free agent looking for his big contract, and he goes, I don't care. Throw me every single day. I want to pitch. Give me the ball. I don't care if I close or coming in the 8th inning or the 5th inning or whatever, wherever you need me. Love that attitude. Feels like it's going to fit right in with the San Diego Padres right now.
He was actually, Jason Adam was on MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM. This was yesterday, and they asked him about A.J. Preller, and here's what the newest Padre said.
I mean, that does so much for a clubhouse just because, it unifies everything. We're all we're in this together, the players, the coaches, the front office. We're chasing down a World Series ring. That's our goal. And he showed that he'll stop at nothing to put us in a position to do that. So like you said, he got the best closer on the market, brought him in. Bullpen is stacked now. We got a great lineup. We got great starters. He's put us in the position to succeed. Now we just have to go out there and take care of business day to day.
You've heard the phrase player's manager. A guy's he's a player's manager. AJ is probably like the first ever player's general manager. Players love playing for AJ, and it's pretty simple why. He tends to overpay them a little bit. He never goes to arbitration. He usually is acquiring players to give their team the best chance to win at the trade deadline. These are all things players absolutely love. So it's no surprise that guys want to come to San Diego. They want to play for the Padres. They want to play for A.J. Preller just because they like it when you go for it. They like GMs that aren't Peter Bendix and are trading away all the players and cutting salary all the time. So, yeah, he's a player's GM.
We still got some calls on the line. They want to talk Padres. We are looking for a contestant for Take on Woods. So give us a call, 833-288-0973 if you want to play Take on John and get your last chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. This is still the week started with July, so this is the last entry for the month of July, so you can get your chance to win a 2-night stay in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, not bad odds. I think we've had, 5 or 6 qualifiers over the month, so if you want to play, 833-288-0973. We did have someone tie John earlier this week, so I see callers coming in. John's probably going to be over here in just a minute or two. Do you want to just get started and play our game? All right, let's get to it. Let's play a little Take on John. All right, let's just go to the phones. Caller, who's this? You're on the air.
This is Jackson.
Jackson,
Hey,
you ready
Jackson.
to play Take on John?
Let's take on John.
Let's do it. All right, Take on John today is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. If you can beat or tie Mr. Flint when he walks over here, you will qualify for our grand prize drawing. Last chance to go to the Rio for 2 nights in Las Vegas, dinner for 2, a day bed at the Rio pool. Paulie loves pool day beds. Rio is back, new ownership, newly remodeled, that's fair, newly remodeled rooms, 4 sparkling new pools, and a brand new food hall. Book your vacation now at RioLasVegas.com. All right, you get to pick our category today. I've already forgotten your name.
Jackson,
yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that. We've got The Afterlife, 5 song titles and artists, including the word after. Go Where You Want to Go. Those are song titles with the word go. And our new category today, Me, Myself, and I. 5 song titles that contain the word myself. The Afterlife, Go Where You Want to Go, or Me, Myself, and I, Jackson.
How about Me, Myself, and I?
All right, Me, Myself, and I. All right, again, 5 song titles. They all contain the word myself. You have 60 seconds. There are 5 questions. If you don't know an answer, you can say pass. We'll come back to it if there's still time left on the clock at the end. First question is our 2-second song. Paulie's going to play you some music, Jackson. You need to give me the song title and the artist to score that point, and then we'll move on from there. You ready to play?
That's right.
All right, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. The category Me, Myself, and I. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Jackson. Let's take on John.
Pass.
The Divinals tackled a risque subject with which 1990 hit that reached number 1 in their native Australia and number 4 in the U.S.
Touch Myself.
Correct. Which 1965 classic from the Four Tops is subtitled Sugar Pie Honey Bunch?
I Can't Help Myself.
Correct. Which hit by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts was adapted for the NFL Sunday Night Football theme song first performed by Carrie Underwood?
Pass.
Which 1975 debut hit for singer-songwriter Eric Carmen draws from Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 in C minor?
Pass.
Go back to our 2-second song.
Dancing with Myself.
By?
Oh, dang it.
Let's try which hit by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts was adapted for the NFL Sunday Night Football theme song first performed by Carrie Underwood? All right, you got 2.5. I wish you could have gotten. Billy Idol does Dancing with Myself.
So close.
You did get I Touch Myself by the Divinals. Did you get that, Paulie?
Well, I think I already have it.
All right.
Like multiple different ways. I'll add it
Sugar
to the
Pie Honey
files.
Bunch, I Can't Help Myself. I Hate Myself for Loving You. And All By Myself is Eric Carmen. So you know it if you heard it. All right, Jackson's score is locked in. Hang on the line, Jackson, because John is here. John's got some headphones. John's got his microphone. He has been a champ in a sport because he's got his own show to do. And
morning, boys.
He comes in every morning. I appreciate that, Johnny. All right, so Jackson's score is locked in. Category today is Me, Myself, and I. All the song titles contain the word myself.
Oh, man. Okay.
You ready?
I am.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Don't guess if I don't know. So
Yeah,
I can go back.
because you always go back
Okay,
to it.
okay.
Yeah.
The rules need to be
Yes,
explained
once
to me.
you've guessed.
Okay, all right.
That's it. It's like Jeopardy. You
burned
can't
me
buzz
last
in
time.
twice.
Gotcha. All right,
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, John. Let's take on Jackson.
Dance with Myself, Billy Idol.
Correct. The Divinals tackled a risque subject.
I Touch Myself.
Correct. Which 1965 classic from the Four Tops is subtitled Sugar Pie Honey Bunch?
Sugar Pie Honey Bunch. Na-na-na-na-na-na. I Can't Help Myself.
Correct. Which hit by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts was adapted for the NFL Sunday Night Football theme song first performed by Carrie Underwood?
I Hate Myself for Loving You.
Correct. Which 1975 debut hit for singer-songwriter Eric Carmen draws from Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 in C minor?
Good Lord. All By Myself.
All by myself. Very
Did I
nicely
nail it?
done. You nailed
Well
it. 5 for
done.
5.
I did not
And
know
a
it was
win
a
today.
Rachmaninoff song. I'm a big Rachmaninoff guy.
Are you a big 1900 Russian composers?
I'm big
I
into
needed
that.
something to say about that song. They always get harder as you go on.
That was a
definitely
really good one today, guys.
The toughest one. John, well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hey, who's
Thank-
pitching tonight, by the way?
Randy Vasquez is going to pitch against Austin Gomber.
That's only partially correct. I'm pitching tonight as well.
That's right.
Throwing the first pitch out.
John's throwing out like we did earlier this year. It was one of the most nerve-wracking moments of my life. Have you done it before?
I've done it once.
You've done it once.
But it was a Tuesday night. There were like tens of people in the crowd. It was when the Padres were horrible.
We also did it Tuesday night. There were everyone was sitting in their seats in a sellout crowd though.
Yeah,
so
this is a big one
Yeah,
tonight.
you'll-
It's going to
you'll
be
get it
sold out at
Friday
City
night.
Connect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm real nervous
So-
now. So thanks.
We've been talking all morning. No game last night, so we're trying to find something to carry us. And we've been talking about the Padres World Series chances now after a hot couple of weeks. Have you found yourself completely bought in on this team?
100%.
Okay.
And in fact, this is what we all thought was going to happen last year. It's a totally different team. It's just an unbelievable. Tony Gwynn Jr. said it best when we came back a Tuesday night. He said they play every out. There's just no quitting. This team is so awesome to see because we're paying a lot of money to see them. So it's great that they're giving it. They're all back to us, and the cohesiveness, the chemistry. I love this team this year. I really, really do.
Love it, Johnny. All right, well, Woods is gone a couple more days next week, so can we count on you maybe Monday and Tuesday?
Whatever you
too?
need. Whatever you need.
Thank you so much. Well played today.
Thanks,
Very
man.
solid game. Sorry, Jackson, but that should be it for our qualifiers for the month of August. Hopefully we'll have a new prize in the hopper for next week. All right, Don't Do This is coming up next. Let's see. There's a sport at the Olympics that you'd think we would be really, really good at it in this country. And for some reason, we've been really, really bad at it in the Olympics. And I want to talk about it. We'll get to that coming up with Ben and Woods on Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station. Traffic right now with Kelly Danick on 97.3 The Fan. Don't Do This is brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. The Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thecrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today, crafttaco.com. Actually, just have one Don't Do This for you today, and then we'll get to some Do This. But I've enjoyed the guesses in the chat after my tease when I said there's one sport at the Summer Olympics that I can't believe the United States isn't much better at. They should be dominant at, and they're doing terribly. And people are guessing volleyball, sailing. I love people. The shooting. Yeah. All right, that's a good one. Yes. Why is the United States not the best country in shooting with all the guns that we have in this country? Good one in our chat. No, what I am talking about is 3-on-3 basketball. Yeah, Jay, you got it. J to the J. Team USA men are 0-4 in 3-on-3 basketball. They are at the bottom of the standings in their pool. The women were also winless. They finally got a win, but they're at the bottom of their standings. Why in this country, where basketball is such a dominant force, can we not put together a better 3-on-3 basketball team? The U.S. men, they are led by former BYU Aztec Jimmer Fredette, along with a guy named Dylan Travis, Canyon Barry, and Kareem Maddox. So not a ton of NBA experience on that team. Fredette leads the way with 6 seasons in the NBA, but the last one was in 2019, and of course he went and played in China for several years. So why aren't we better in this? Wouldn't it be easy? Just take the 3 best players who didn't make Team USA basketball for the 5-on-5 and make them our 3-on-3 team and just let them go and absolutely dominate everybody. Well, there is actually a reason if you do a little bit of research, which I did. Unlike in 5-on-5 basketball, where the Olympic Committee can just name whoever they want to the team. They could have put Cooper Flagg on the team if they wanted to, even though he's never played in the NBA, just like Christian Laettner was on the Dream Team. There's no qualifications. To play Olympic 3-on-3 basketball, you actually have to play the 3-on-3 circuit, and you have to travel around the globe and play in these tournaments and amass enough points to qualify, which Jimmer did. Took off his NBA and international career and started going to these European countries and driving and staying in little hotels to play in these 3-on-3 tournaments so he could actually qualify to play in the Olympics. But we're actually not allowed to just go, all right, who's not on the team? Kawhi, you're not on the NBA team anymore. Go ahead and just play 3-on-3 basketball. We can't do that.
Are any of the former NBA alums playing in the Big 3 eligible?
If they did the 3-on-3 circuit, but they're playing. Even if you're playing in the Big 3, that's not Olympic qualifying. So we're kind of limited in who we get to actually choose. It's just embarrassing that we're getting bodied in basketball, in any form of basketball at the Olympics in this country. But they've lost every single game that they've played so far in Paris, and it's kind of humiliating. Maybe instead of choosing BYU players, take some Aztecs, put them on the roster next time.
All right, let's keep the vibes positive on a FRIAR Friday. A couple of do this stories.
Mega do. The rec league team could go 0-4 in the Olympics, Paul. You take your 2 best teammates from your squad.
All right.
Are they the tier 1s? Who are they?
We're the tier 1s.
You're also the tier 1s, right? Yeah. So
team full of listeners for baseball.
I
and
know
basketball.
you could go 0-4.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Tom Cruise is. I don't know. I find him to be a little nutty and just.
He's a lot nutty.
He's a very
but
nutty
he's also
guy. But he
like
is
the best movie star of my lifetime. Come on.
Yeah, I think I've said it before. I feel like he, to me, seems like the last true movie star, like a Hollywood movie star. He is so talented.
I saw like a big. It was almost like a documentary of him pulling off the stunt for his last Mission Impossible movie where he rides a motorcycle off a cliff and he did it himself. I mean, it's like
the stunts that he does for his
doesn't
movies.
use a stunt man. He pulls off all of them himself.
The
which
lengths
is
that he goes to, it's
really
just,
cool.
It's incredible. And TMZ yesterday broke some news that Tom Cruise is working on a epic stunt for the closing ceremonies of the 2024 Olympics, which are next Sunday, a week from this Sunday.
Yeah, a week from Sunday.
Okay, week from Sunday. And they gave some details. It says here on TMZ.com. Sources with direct knowledge tell us the plan for the closing ceremony involves Tom rappelling down from the top of Stade de France, the stadium they'll be having the ceremonies in, landing on the field and carrying the official Olympic flag. The TV broadcast will then cut to a previously recorded film. In the first 2 minutes, shows Tom's journey on an airplane, flying with the Olympic flag from France to Los Angeles, and then he will skydive down to the Hollywood flag and pass the flag from
to the next host country.
Yes, and I think it's the mayor of Paris is involved, the mayor of Los Angeles is involved. That's how they transition over to the next host city. But man, I'm all in. I cannot wait for this. I saw that and
I definitely.
Just reading the headline, I go, that's going to be
I don't
cool.
think I've ever really watched the closing ceremonies. They tend to be pretty anticlimactic and boring by the time the Olympics are done. Opening ceremony's great. You got all the hype. You're excited about it. By the time it's been 17 days and it's like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to see a bunch of pageantry again at the end. Just get this thing over with.
Right.
Might actually tune in for a few minutes to see Tom Cruise pull off like a live stunt as part of the transition from Paris to Los Angeles. That's pretty cool. The other one's a much more serious. I'll give it a do this story.
Mega doo-doo.
Just because of the outpouring of reaction. I was proud of Padres fans yesterday, fans of other teams as well, with the thoughts and support that they have sent out to Freddie Freeman and his family. We just and I didn't realize this was going on. We knew Freddie Freeman wasn't with the team for personal reasons. The last couple of days was on the personal list and unavailable. And his wife yesterday, Chelsea, sent out a message about what's going on with their son, Maximus, who's sick. Said, hi, all. We wanted to give you an update on Maximus. Last Friday, Max rapidly declined and went into full-body paralysis.
Oh, God.
We're very fortunate to have gotten him to the hospital in time so they could reinforce his lungs. Freddie was in Houston at the time, rushed to the first flight back home. After many tests, Max is battling a severe case of Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare neurological condition that's especially rare in children. These have been the hardest and scariest days of our lives. Maximus is such a special boy, has been fighting so hard. This is going to be a journey to recover, but we have faith that he will be completely healed. We've been blown away by his improvements the last 48 hours. Maximus was excavated from his breathing tube and taken off the ventilator yesterday, which is a huge win for us. We believe in the power of prayer, and we have been witnessing a miracle in his recovery. Please continue to cover Maximus and our family in your prayers. We really appreciate it. Felt all your support from the family there of Freddie Freeman, and I saw a lot of Padres fans go, hey, we may hate the Dodgers, but and you may not even like Freddie Freeman, but absolutely all of your prayers, support, and love to Freddie Freeman and his family, and our best absolute wishes and prayers for little Max to recover. That's got to be the scariest thing that any parent can go through.
I can't even imagine. I saw that update yesterday, and just my heart sank. That's so scary, and hope he comes through.
I remember about 8 years ago when our son, who was around 13 at the time, it was the summer, and he was like losing weight, and we thought, it's growth spurt. He's just, popping up, and, it's puberty and it's something, but he was like getting thinner, and he started looking unhealthy, and like he was tired, and he had to go to the bathroom all the time. So this started, deteriorating, and we just didn't know. And eventually we took him to urgent care. My wife took him to urgent care, and they said, you need to go to the emergency room immediately. And so she calls me, and I was at work, and, I go meet her there, and I get there, and she says, you know how you get to the emergency room, and then they make you wait like 4 hours. That's why no one ever wants to go to the emergency room. And they were like waiting with like a gurney, like when she got there, like they were out there waiting and go, this is not good, because she didn't, the urgent care doctor didn't tell my wife what it was, but they obviously called ahead to the hospital and go.
Yeah.
And he was in ketoacidosis shock from an undiagnosed, we didn't know, the type 1 diabetes that had started presenting itself over the last couple of months, and we just had no idea. His blood sugar was insanely high because he wasn't producing any more of what you need to produce in your pancreas, the insulin, to make the blood sugar go down. And he was dying. He was literally dying.
Ugh.
And he was in the hospital for, like a week. And obviously, fortunately, he's doing better now and has to give himself the injections and replace his insulin every time he eats. He's got to give himself an insulin injection. But I certainly understand what Freddie Freeman is going through, especially when you've got a 3-year-old at that age and they can't even understand it.
They don't know what's happening.
And they don't know what's happening, and it's just so scary as a parent. So good job by Padres fans and fans around baseball of rallying to support Freddie Freeman and his family. And that is Don't and Do This for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we'll take a time out. When we come back, if you want to join us, talk more Padres. We're discussing their World Series chances. We can look ahead to this series. We have some of the matchups and some still to be determined for the next 3 days against the Colorado Rockies. And then coming up at the top of the hour, regular Friday guest, we'll have Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue with us, talk baseball and more. All ahead here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. everybody in the chat and listening in. And yeah, my son is doing well. So, but I'm glad I was able to share that story. And certainly thinking about Freddie Freeman and his family goes well beyond baseball. What he's battling right now, and I definitely hope that his son gets better as soon as possible. And and hopefully for Dodgers fans, that means Freddie Freeman can come back and play some baseball again coming up soon. But obviously, that's not the priority right now.
As soon as he comes back, though, it's on.
Then it's on again. Of course, that's how it works. Don't forget, it's FRIAR Friday. Mike Schilt will join us as the Padres get ready to take on the Colorado Rockies. Just a short 5-game homestand with the 2 against the Dodgers and then 3 against the Rockies. And then they're right back on the road again to the East Coast where they will take on the Pittsburgh Pirates for 3. And then they go to – where do they go after Pittsburgh? Paul, you got there? Is Minnesota? Miami, that's right. MIA, not MIN.
Yes.
They go to
Pittsburgh,
Miami.
Miami, then back home to play the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then to Colorado.
I heard
3 games, and then they come back and play the Twins here.
So Gwen and Chris were talking about the Pittsburgh series yesterday as well. And Chris had not seen the Pirates probables and how they changed Paul Skeens from Tuesday to Sunday.
Uh-huh.
So he thought the Padres were going to face Paul Skeens, and Tony said, no, they're not. And they did the math like we did yesterday, that the Padres will likely miss Paul Skeens in both of those series against the Pirates. And then they kind of went on, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because Tony was like, selfishly, I wanted to see Paul Skeens pitch.
Sure.
But also selfishly, I'm glad he's pitching against the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers and not against the San Diego Padres, because every game's important down the stretch. And I think I said yesterday, and I'll stand by it, if Paul Skeens is as good as everyone thinks he is, and he's been so far in his career, we'll see plenty of Paul Skeens over the next, probably 10, 15 years. I'm okay missing him once or twice down the stretch during a pennant drive when you absolutely need to win every game. And I get you could lose to the Pirates' 5th starter and you could have beaten Paul Skeens. I know how baseball works. But I also know probability. And the probability is Paul Skeens is going to shove and strike out 10 or 11, and the 5th starter that you're getting instead is probably not going to be as tough to beat. It's just simple math and an easy equation.
If I have my choice of facing Paul Skeens or not facing Paul Skeens, I'd rather not face him.
I agree. So that's what it looks like is going to happen on this upcoming road trip. First, though, the Padres have to tackle their nemesis, the Colorado Rockies, back in town. We'll take a look at that series and more of your phone calls. 833-288-0973 right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few things that might slow you down a bit. Traffic alert remains in effect eastbound 52 Santo Road. 2 right lanes are blocked. They've got a sweeper helping to get rid of some gravel in the roadway that was causing some spin-outs earlier. So, yeah, just stay to the left if you're heading east on the 52 on your way into Santee. Again, that is Fred Santo Road. Cordell traffic cam shows a collision involving several vehicles on the Imperial Avenue off-ramp northbound 805. And tow truck is helping to clear a stall on westbound 54 at Rayo Drive. And Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So the Colorado Rockies, Paulie, did not do much at the trade deadline. I mean, obviously they weren't going to be a major player in terms of acquisitions, sitting in last place, but they also didn't bother really to sell off a lot of players either. I think
they literally did nothing.
I think they traded one reliever. I mean, do they know they own a baseball team? Does Dick Monfort know that he owns a baseball team and you can like do things and change it up if things aren't going well? I never quite understand what the point is.
Your team. Even by selling, you can improve your team, like your prospects and everything. Yeah, I don't know. He's just chilling out there in Colorado.
So I think the high point of the season for the Rockies was clearly coming into Petco Park and sweeping 3 from the Padres. Since then, they're like 24-47 or something. I mean, they're bad. They're a bad baseball team.
You don't have the Coors Field factor here this weekend.
They didn't when they swept the Padres here earlier, though.
I know.
So,
but just anytime you play the Rockies in Colorado, it's kind of
fair. You can understand.
All
if
bets
something
are off.
happens in Colorado, kooky, and you lose a game, fine. Coors Field, whatever. It's not there. It's here. Now, you will be facing 2 major league quality pitchers. Like when you go and play the White Sox later this year, when you play the Marlins, you may be getting like scraped together a starter. Who knows? Because they've traded so many guys. They've got nothing left. They're just calling on AAA guys to make spot starts. Padres will be getting 2 regular, normal, major league pitchers in this series. Austin Gomber is pitching tonight. Austin Gomber, who's 2 of his best starts of the year, have come against the San Diego Padres. 5 innings, 1 run, 7 innings, no runs in an 8-0 shutout win over the Padres. Actually, they did beat him in that first one when they got 1 run against him, but he has pitched well against the Padres in 2 starts. Outside of that, he's been very mediocre. He's got like a 4.80 ERA, given up 4, 4, 3, like in his last 3 starts. He's very hittable. He's left-handed. That had been a problem for the Padres earlier in the season. Not as much lately, as I said. What, Padres have won like 11 or 10 of 11 or 9 of 10 against left-handed starters. Adding Donovan Solano to the mix certainly helped there as a right-handed option. Getting Xander Bogaerts back and hitting well. Manny Machado heating up. Those have all impacted the Padres' success against left-handers. This is a different team that Austin Gomber is facing, both literally in terms of guys who were available that weren't available, and also kind of spiritually in terms of confidence on a roll and just hitting better from the right side of the plate. So we'll see what happens tonight. Randy Vasquez, of course, is coming off not a great start. I'm kind of crossing my fingers because he had, 3 or 4 really good outings until the last one when he went in and gave up all the runs, the 6-run inning against the Orioles in the last game of the road trip on Sunday. But he had pitched 2 scoreless innings in the first 2, and then it just kind of snowballed. It was just a 1 bad inning. Hopefully he flushes that and can get back on the mound and give the Padres, what do they need?
4 innings.
4 innings?
4
5 would be
good innings.
Even great, but 4, they've got the bullpen
Off day
tonight.
yesterday.
Off day on Monday, off day yesterday. They can be extremely aggressive tonight. Now, remember, you also probably will have to be aggressive tomorrow when Martin Perez is going to make his Padres debut against TBA. No starter announced by the Colorado Rockies, whether they're calling someone up or it's a bullpen type day. Not sure, but they have no starter for tomorrow. And then Sunday, it's the Padres' turn to have the TBA starter. When we talked about it yesterday, why is Michael King not in that spot? It'll have been 8 days since his last start. Are they trying to skip him, or will he actually make that start? We had a Tier 1 who said he had a little inside info that he thinks Michael King is definitely going to be making that start. And I found out later that, and I won't say who he is, but gave me a little more confidence that his inside information could be actually valuable in this case.
He may actually have
inside information, and maybe Michael King will start. I don't know why you wouldn't just say it. If you're the Padres, there's something going on, and we will be asking Mike Schilt about that. Mike Schilt will likely not be telling us about it, but we will certainly be asking him about it at 9 a.m. Who's starting on Sunday? What's the deal with Michael King? I'm going to press him a little bit. I know it'll probably frustrate him, but it's kind of my job to get some answers for Padres fans for the questions that they have right now. Sunday, it'll be Cal Quantrill, the former Padre, who I don't know why didn't you trade Cal Quantrill?
I don't know.
I mean, with the price tag for starting pitching, you're going nowhere. You're going nowhere next year. We all know this. Why do you not go and get like some decent? You could have gotten some really decent prospects for a guy who's not really that good. It's not like you're building your team, or it's not Tarek Skubal. You're not building your team around Cal Quantrill, but you could have gotten something for him. What are you doing in Colorado?
Understand
What's the
their
strategy?
Game plan. I have no idea. I have no idea what they're doing or what they have been doing for several years now. It's
an organization that makes zero sense. You trade Nolan Arenado for nothing. I mean, he's your best player, and you don't get anything back. And then you pay Chris Bryant, which is fine. Go ahead and pay him, but then you don't put anything around him, and you don't build anything around him. You're like, oh, we're going for it with Chris Bryant, but we're not. We're going to make Chris Bryant do everything. And then, of course, he gets hurt and has not played barely at all in the last couple of years. It's an organization with no direction, no strategy that's evident. And, you know, and Buddy Black, who is a fine manager and a good guy, they're absolutely happy with him finishing in last place every single year. And I don't think it's his fault. So I'm not saying, Buddy should be fired for how they're doing, but they're absolutely fine with Buddy Black making zero changes whatsoever. If I was a Colorado Rockies fan, that might I mean, there's a reason they don't have a lot of fans because you'd be insane right now
Right.
if you were a Colorado Rockies fan. Like, just do something to show us that you're awake. You know, like someone is showing up at the front office every day and like doing something. Just do something to tell us that you're alive in Colorado right now.
Who's their GM? What's he doing?
I don't know. I don't think they have one, honestly. It feels like they don't. Like, do they just like AI chat? Like, okay, what should we do today, AI? And just, I mean, even an AI would do more than the Colorado Rockies are doing right now.
Yeah, they'd say, probability says you definitely are not making the playoffs this year, and it would be wise and beneficial to your franchise to trade so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and improve your farm system.
You don't even need to get like the upgrade. That could be the free AI right there. It could probably be a better GM than the Colorado Rockies have had. And what scares me, of course, is that they could easily come in here and take 2 out of 3 from the San Diego Padres because baseball is baseball, and it's frustrating. And
Bill Schmidt is
for
their GM.
whatever reason, Bill Schmidt.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey Siri, what should I do today? Trade Cal Quantrill, you moron.
No Schmidt.
Oh. My phone heard me. Oh.
Hey, did you say Siri? And now, no, she's trying to chime in. Ask her if she can GM the Rockies for Bill Schmidt, who's
Hey
doing
Siri,
nothing.
why did the Rockies not make any trades at the trade deadline?
Good work. Siri doesn't have any answer because there is no answer. She doesn't know. It doesn't make any sense at all. You have to ask.
The Rockies were the only team to not make at least one trade, opting for the status quo, while other teams targeted immediate improvement or collected prospects.
They didn't even make one trade. I thought maybe they traded a reliever. They didn't do anything.
Thank
They
you, Siri.
literally did nothing. They were a last place team that did nothing. I mean, how depressed would you be if you're a Rockies player? I know you're a big leaguer, fine. But you show up and you're playing out the string,
fans
and you've
got
got
worse.
you've got ownership and management that does not care about you or the team at all, at least from their outward actions. This has got to be a hugely demoralized team going up against a Padres team that is on a roll, that's cooking, that feels good.
I don't like this conversation
Good
because
clubhouse.
it's putting so much
I
more
know.
pressure now on me
Of
for
course.
this to watch these games this weekend. I'm like, you have to sweep them.
Losing one game this weekend feels like an immense failure right now.
God.
Which
They're
I know
so
Mike,
bad. You have to sweep
Mike
them.
Shelton's going to go, hey, we just want to win series. We just want to, take our 2 out of 3 and keep moving forward. But it's going to feel any losses this weekend. And they could lose today with, Randy Vasquez doesn't pitch well.
they're
Comber
losing
does.
on Sunday.
They could lose Sunday. They always lose on Sundays. We don't even know who's pitching. So clearly they could lose 1. They could lose 2. God forbid they could lose all 3. Oh, man. I am all worked up about this series now. All right, we'll talk some more baseball. Jordan Schusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue. Always fun to talk to those guys on a Friday. Get to that coming up. Second half of Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Halfway home on a Friday. It's been a fairly woodsless week here on 97.3 The Fan. Here on Monday, his Hawaiian vacation continues. Paulie and I still hard at work, though, bringing you good quality sports and Padres talk in the morning here on 97.3 The Fan. Bad news for USA Olympic fans. I was holding out hope for the three-pointer and the foul at the buzzer, but USA Soccer loses 4-0 to Morocco in the quarterfinals.
I don't watch a ton of soccer. Is that how it works? You can shoot a three and get
well, isn't that what
fouled?
that big line, that big box is the three-point line? And if you make a goal from outside the box, it's a three. And then if the referee holds up a yellow card while you're shooting and get fouled, then you get one of those penalty kicks, and that's the extra point, and you can get the 4-point play to tie it. But they did not, and they ended up losing 4-0 to Morocco. They made a couple of layups at some point for their two baskets in the game, and U.S. Soccer is out. But we're not talking soccer in this segment. I think we're talking some baseball, although he's not. He's usually at he's at the All-Star game, or he's at the the Field of Dreams in Iowa, or he's at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. I don't know where Jordan is usually joining us from, but today, Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue, you're at a very special location. Tell everybody where you're at this weekend.
Oh, I sure am. Yes, I am. I was lucky enough to receive the exclusive invite to my dear friend Jake Mintz's bachelor party.
Wow.
Here at the beach in Delaware. So we are going to have a grand old time. Can you believe that I was like probably B-list, but I snuck on, and I'm here. We're going to have a good time here.
So is it one of those kind of low-key bachelor parties, or is Jake kind of like last dance before it's over and wants to get everything he's never done in before he ties the knot kind of guy?
I would say the likelier is the former.
Okay.
I was going to make, some joke about how, it's kind of like a Blake Snell start. It starts one way, and then you think you know what direction it's going, and then very quickly it can kind of head in a different direction. But I feel like it's going to be a little bit steadier. I think it's going to be more of a Michael King style. There might be some flash and some here and there, but for the most part, we're just here to have a good time and kind of get our work in and just enjoy each other's company.
So Jordan, and by the way, of course, Jordan's appearances brought to you by Grand Hole Barbecue, Flint Springs, North Park, at the ballpark. It's San Diego's best brisket, bar none. Love it. It's amazing. So one of your annual traditions post trade deadline is you rank all the trades from the biggest to the absolute most inconsequential trades. I don't know, how many total did you rank this year, and what were your thoughts on the moves that the Padres made? Because they obviously had 3 of them that made your rankings.
Yeah, so there were, I think, almost 60 trades since the deadline, or since the All-Star break, I'm pretty sure. I ended up only ranking 50, but it's just kind of a fun exercise to think about it, because normally after the deadline you rank, okay, you'll see, let's rank all the prospects that got traded, or here are the 10 most impactful. But to me, as someone who, gets to talk about baseball for a living, I'm thinking about it in sort of the meta, just entertainment factor, and thinking about a trade from the standpoint of how did this make it did this make a ripple in the baseball industry in a way that we all wanted to talk about? Whether it was a good trade or a bad trade, was it an interesting trade? And ultimately this year, I like to kind of do them in tiers and organize it so it's a bit of an easier read. I probably did end up underselling the Tanner Scott deal, but also part of that is just the Padres. I'm so used to it. I'm like, yeah, of course the Padres traded 4 prospects for 2 months of Tanner Scott.
Wait,
and
it's not Juan Soto, yawn.
Yeah.
I mean, yawn.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe yawn is a bit of a stretch, but it is I've come to expect it. But it's also why I wore my Padres hat on our trade deadline recap podcast the other day, because it's this is the one team I can always count on. We've talked about this a million times with you guys over the last couple of years. This is the one team I can always count on. Will not just keep things interesting, but go for it. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Have all the moves worked? Obviously not, but I feel like they've put themselves in a pretty strong position. And what I'm so interested in with the Padres in particular, this is really the first super bullpen they seem to have assembled during this era. And I'm curious where you guys are at in terms of how much confidence that gives you that maybe this year could end a little bit differently.
Well, it's big. I mean, if you're a baseball historian, and I know you are, Jordan, you look at teams that have had success in the postseason, and they are often accompanied by a lockdown bullpen. I saw people going all the way back to the Nasty Boys of the Cincinnati Reds, in the early 1990s. The Phillies of recent vintage and all the arms that they can throw out of the pen at you. Some of those Yankees teams had, when Mariano Rivera was the setup man, before he was even the closer.
I read the comparison to the 2016 Cubs adding Aroldis Chapman to their bullpen and that team.
I mean, the Rangers did the same thing last year. It seems to be a theme that teams that do well in the playoffs have deep bullpens, and the Padres have one now, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. The Rangers performed like that, but we didn't necessarily expect it. I think this is one, sometimes bullpens just kind of coalesce and they all get hot, and that's really what we saw with Texas last year and even with Arizona last year to a certain degree. But this is one where, and this is where it gets a little bit scary. I got to be honest, I'm not trying to rain on the excitement here, but it is a classic one of, on paper, boy, it sure looks good on paper, right? And now we have to go out and see them prove it. At the same time, I'd rather have 4 or 5 great pitchers on paper with great stats, with great peripherals, than not have them. I think the real question now is, as we come down the stretch here, is what I'm curious is, obviously, in a series where you can plan out your pitching in a very real way, you have off days, whatever, it scripts out very well for them. It lines up great for them. But I'm very curious how much they're going to lean on these guys just to get into the postseason. I think that is really maybe one of the biggest stories of the last few months for San Diego is, wow, it's awesome now Schilt can turn to a Scott, turn to a Jason Adam or a Stroud, all these guys. But is your starting pitching going to make it so that these awesome relievers aren't gassed by the time you even get to October? I think that's what's really interesting.
Talking to Jordan Schusterman from Yahoo Sports, Cespedes Family Barbecue. And I know one of you guys writing about Dylan Cease as well. And while the bullpen is important and, Padres hoping to get back Joe Musgrove here soon and maybe Yu Darvish at some point, and that depth in the starting rotation is key. Maybe the biggest chance for the Padres to succeed will be for just Dylan Cease to continue pitching the way he has the last few starts all the way through the end of the season and the playoffs because – he's been devastating. I mean, historically devastating over the last, 2 to 3 weeks.
100%, yeah. And I'm so glad I got to write about him, and I talked to him right before his start in Cleveland, which turned out to be one of his best starts of the year. He, of course, followed it up with the no-hitter. We saw what he did against the Dodgers. But what he's been able to do recently where stuff was never in question for Dylan Cease. But the fact that he's now throwing even a little bit harder and throwing more strikes than he has before at any point in his career is a pretty remarkable development and is the kind of thing. I mean, this is a guy that already finished second, in Cy Young. So to say that his ceiling is notably higher is maybe a little bit dramatic. But again, like in terms of consistency, in terms of ensuring that you are getting a quality start basically every time out, I know he's walked 3 even in the no-hitter and he walked 3 against the Dodgers, but that's still a pretty good lineup. If the command is really improved in a way that it seems like it has, that just raises the floor for a guy like him in a way that you didn't even necessarily know for sure when you acquired him. And that's what's so exciting about him, not to mention the fact that I think the most underrated thing about Dylan Cease, and, knock on wood, this guy's been the maybe top 3 most durable pitchers in the league, since he became a starter. And for a guy who had a lot of questions about his delivery and his command and his mechanics and all those things as an amateur, it's a pretty remarkable achievement, and I think it's also part of why they were so willing to be so aggressive in acquiring him.
Jordan, we were talking earlier about the Padres' chances to chase down the Dodgers. That was a national topic yesterday, and even their chances at the World Series. But let's look at the 2 main teams standing in their way in the National League, the Phillies and the Dodgers, both struggling here. And the Phillies even more so. I think they have the second worst record in baseball since the All-Star break, only to, of course, the White Sox, who haven't won a game since the All-Star break, or well before the All-Star break. In fact, we're closing in on about a month since they have last won a baseball game, which is pretty much incredible. But of the 2 teams, the top teams in the NL that are both struggling, which one are you more concerned about? Like this could actually be a problem, or do you think both of them will get healthy, get out of their funk, and be back to who they usually are by the time October rolls around?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see some more convincing signs of life for the Braves. I think how poorly Matt Olson was playing was maybe one of the more shocking parts of their season. But they're not going to magically get Ronald Acuna and Spencer Strider back, right? Like there's some injuries that in theory they will return at some point in the second half. But I think at this point, it's hard to argue that the Braves ceiling is anywhere near what we thought it was going to be, let alone anywhere near what the Phillies are going to be. And that's the question with them. I was really surprised that they, their one move being Jorge Soler is a fascinating one from a narrative standpoint. But I could say this about a lot of teams. I was just surprised they didn't go out and get more pitching. And so that's going to be something, is can that rotation kind of hang together? They've gotten this unbelievable season from Chris Sale and a lot of these relievers who have been, sneaky awesome. I don't know, though. I do think, like I said, I think that the Braves' ceiling is still substantially lower than certainly what it was. And I think that while the Phillies have not looked awesome recently, we're still holding them to the standard of what has basically been the best team in baseball for the better part of the last 2 or 3 months. So I'm curious to see how their additions actually fill in. How well does Austin Hayes really fit? How well do, some of the pitchers that they added, will they fit? Are they going to make that bullpen into something that is really special? Or will Estevez, I don't know. I mean, he's looked good so far for them. Tanner Banks, we'll see. So I would still say the Phillies are the team that kind of exists in a tier of their own. And then the Dodgers, I mean, that's the team, where the health-wise, I would say is a little bit more of an X factor. I feel like those guys, if they are getting healthy, even if Kershaw, we don't really know what we're getting, if they are going to get Yamamoto back and Mookie back here soon, now we are still talking about a ceiling that is every bit as high as I think we thought it was.
Yeah, with the Phillies, Bryce Harper was calling out his own team, saying they're sloppy. They got to, turn it around. But I do feel like it's mostly all right, we've been ahead for so long. They're just having a bit of a summary mental lapse, and they'll be able to turn it back on at some point. I can't imagine those struggles continuing. So, yeah, they'll probably be the Phillies at some point. Let's talk a little bit before you go about Mike Trout, who was shut down in his rehab and then issued a statement yesterday. Pretty sad, actually. Just a new meniscus tear, and he's going to be out for another rest of the season. He's played literally one game post All-Star break in the last 3 years. But I was shocked, Jordan, because I saw some people going, is this going to hurt his Hall of Fame chances? I thought that book has already been closed. Once you've done enough to get to the Hall of Fame, you can't injure your way out of the Hall of Fame. Even if you didn't play another game, once you've done it and you put together the resume, it's over, right? I mean, has anyone ever done so poorly in their last few years that they took themselves out of like slam dunk lock Hall of Famer? What's your opinion here?
The answer to the question you just asked is Andrew Jones.
Okay.
Is really the answer. That is the most extreme version of that. Now, I can't say because I was 11, like what we were saying as it started to get bad about Andrew Jones. Like, I don't know when it got really bad for Andrew Jones. He was not as good as Trout, obviously. But I'm just saying that's at least some sort of parallel where it was like, oh, he's clearly on a Hall of Fame track, and then it went off so bad that now he's obviously struggling to get into the Hall of Fame. But moving him aside, just focusing on Trout. I mean, the what he had already achieved was so great. Not just, oh, wow. I mean, he was literally, by some metrics, one of the best player ever through age 22, through age 23, through age 24, right? 3 MVPs through age 27. The obvious comparison, and we hit this a little bit on the podcast we recorded this morning, is Griffey, right? I mean, Griffey only made 3 All-Star teams in his 30s. Now, he still obviously sailed into the Hall of Fame and compiled an incredible amount of counting stats, which even Trout is going to kind of struggle to get to at this point, unless he comes back basically strictly as a DH and just starts hitting 30 homers a year and maybe isn't the all-around player. But no, he's open and shut. I don't really think I don't think he has to worry about not getting into Cooperstown at this point. It's really now more about how do we see this end? But see, I feel bad and ridiculous talking about this as some sort of end of something. As frustrating as it is, and how we've dealt with this the last few seasons, he's got 6 more years in his contract. He just turned 32. Like, Mike Trout's going to play baseball again in some form. I just don't know what it's going to look like. And the biggest bummer is that I have no reason to believe that the Angels are anywhere near even putting a team around him that even if he's not the best player in the world is going to get him anywhere close to October. That's what really bumps me out.
Good point about Andrew Jones. Although Andrew Jones played and then stopped hitting, so some of his numbers like the average and the slugging percentage were dragged down. Mike Trout's not hurting any of his numbers. He's just not.
True.
He's just not playing. And the comparison that I would make the most between Mike Trout, which is weird because it's a pitcher and not a position player, but it's Sandy Koufax is probably the most Mike Trout-like player. Sandy's last year was age 30. Went 27-9 with a 1.73 ERA. Got hurt, never pitched again, but obviously obvious Hall of Famer for what he did before that.
And I get what you're saying though, because when I saw that news yesterday, I had to look up Mike Trout's age because it just feels like he's older than he is. He's, like Jordan said, he's 32 years old. I got that. I read the headline yesterday, and I read his statement, and I go, "Man, is he done? Like done? I'm like, no, he's 32. Of course he's coming back." But it feels there's like a small, slight sense of finality, almost. It feels like.
Yeah, and I think and I should just correct. He's about to turn 33 next week. So so that's a little bit whatever. But the point is what it feels like based on all the injuries is that he's more in his mid 30s. And that's the thing. But the finality, like I said, there's 6 more years on the contract. And so what does it look like? Are we finally at the point where he's not playing center field? That's a real question. I mean, that's another amazing thing about Griffey is even with the Reds and even with all the injuries, he still played center until he was 36, 37. Is Mike Trout still going to be able to do that? I mean, he's still one of the fastest players in the league, even over the past 2 years. And so in theory, there's still a version of that. But we have to eventually start thinking about preservation and just what it's going to take to have him on the field all the time. And the really scary thing is how many different injuries it's been, right? It's not just one nagging thing. I mean, it's been everything at this point. And so that's what's most troubling. And we just have to hope for all of our sake, regardless of whether it's in the postseason or on a bad Angels team, I think we all just want to see Mike Trout at least hitting again in the near future.
Jordan, you sound great. I imagine in 24 hours you won't sound quite as perky or peppy, especially after I just saw this tweet that Jake sent. I hadn't seen this. Said, having my bachelor party this weekend. Think we'll just gather around the TV with a few brews and rewatch all 17 of the White Sox losses. So that's going to be a fun day for you.
Why rewatch when we can watch losses 18, 19, and 20?
Just live, yeah. I mean, what's history? What's the longest losing streak all time?
20, 24, 25.
Orioles, what is it, something like that?
They got some work to do.
Yeah, but not that. Hey, I mean, we're a week away or so from potential baseball history there.
The 61 Phillies lost 23 in a row.
23 in a row. All right, that's not.
Oh no, extremely in play.
Awesome. All right, well, you guys get through this weekend, survive the bachelor party weekend, and I guess we'll talk to Jake next Friday and get all the dirty details of what went down on the beach in Delaware.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. Always a pleasure, and we'll see what the Padres do in the next week. It's always interesting.
Jordan Schusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue, brought to you weekly here by our friends at Grand Ole Barbecue. I see people in the chat ready for some brisket tonight. If you're going to the game, you can get it there, or you can just make a night of it. Head down to North Park or go up to the Flint Springs. It's a ton of fun. It's a drive, but if you're ever out there, it's what a great place that is.
I didn't want to be mean.
What?
But what does one do in Delaware for a bachelor party?
It must be something nice. I mean, that's where the president has his summer house, Rehoboth
He's from
Beach.
there.
He's from there, but I mean it can't be that
I just
tropical.
think of Wayne's World, and he's like, "Hi."
I've never understood
I'm
East
in
Coast
Delaware.
beaches. The whole the boardwalk, Atlantic City, go to the beach on the East Coast has never made any sense to me whatsoever. When there's a West Coast that you can come to, like San Diego.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do the beach, do it right. Come out here.
Why couldn't we
or
get
go
him
to
out
Hawaii where Woods is? All right, we will come back. We got a round report coming up. Did have some games last night in baseball that impact the Padres and the NL wildcard race. Get into those as well. It is Ben and Woods. Check traffic right now with Kelly on 97.3 The Fan. Before we get to anything else, Paulie. Well, first, thanks to Jordan Schusterman for joining us. But how about a birthday shout-out for Caitlin? Happy birthday, Caitlin, in the chat. Asked for it. You shall receive.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Caitlin.
birthday. I was actually just reading yesterday.
Stop calling me Carl.
Carl. Paul, a.k.a. Carl. I was reading one of the radio, trade publications. You know how every industry has a trade magazine or website that...
Yes.
But other people aren't going to care about. But even radio, we have things that we read, like tips and techniques to be better at your job. And what I was reading was that radio listeners, and tell me if I'm wrong, they love personalized shout-outs. They'll listen longer if they think you're going to get mentioned by name. So
I would assume that's true.
Maybe we should just start, I just go through the shout out Tony and Jocelyn and Charisma. And shout out to the Goose
Shout out
and
Jeffrey.
Shout out to Dominic and
Shout
Simon.
out Diesel.
I mean, this is good radio. This is apparently the trades say this is good. Shout out to Tony.
Shout out Bo and Woodsy.
Shout out to Diesel. Shout out to Manny, Adam, not that Adam, the other Adam. Shout out to Padre Bod. I mean, this is good, right? The trades say I'm doing good radio right now, keeping people listening. Shout out Rod.
The trades may say that's good radio. Somebody in their car is like, all right, get to it already. Jesus.
So don't shout out everybody on the YouTube chat. You're saying, Paulie, is not
it's
good
Friday.
radio.
You can shout people out for the next hour and a half.
You were a little distracted during our Jordan Schusterman interview, though. We had
just a little bit.
We had the soccer on our TV on the Olympics a minute ago, and then it switched to something else.
Yeah, I don't know what channel we're on right now. It's got the NBC logo there in the corner, but they've been bouncing around. Well, they've been bouncing around very quickly. I don't know if they're just showing, if some channels only show one event for an hour or 3 hours, however long it takes. This channel's been bouncing around all over the place all morning, and they're playing on a weird basketball court, but then there's big hockey goals. I go,
and your question was?
Jordan is literally on the phone and giving us an answer about, Mike Trout or whatever, and I leaned over to Ben and I said, Ben, what effing sport is this?
Paulie, welcome to team handball.
Handball.
Is what they're playing. It's not like schoolyard handball where you're throwing it off a wall and then hitting it to the other person. This is different. This is team
Germany
handball.
and Spain.
Oh, there's something exciting just happened.
I
think the Germans look very excited at the moment.
And Katie says in the chat, live coverage starts at 9, so these are probably tape delayed, but it says live.
I mean, it's late in the afternoon in Paris, so I think it says live.
Maybe that's why they were bouncing around earlier.
You can't say live on your TV unless it's live. But team handball is an interesting sport. It kind of, as you said, kind of looks like basketball because they're like the 3-point line and it's a basketball court. But it kind of looks like soccer. It kind of looks like lacrosse without sticks. It would be a good example, but the goal is bigger. But I honestly think the most apt comparison, it's water polo without water. Because just like in water polo, the offense is run the similar way. The goal is a similar size. And basically it's water polo without the water. And you're just running around and passing it to each other on the court. As far as I can tell, I'm not an expert in team handball, but that's what we're watching right now. That's what happens every 4 years.
Kind of fun. Looks kind of cool.
Have they started the break dancing yet? I have not seen any break dancing, which is the newest Olympic sport.
I'm not sure.
Breaking, they call it. And
Breaking.
I have not seen any of it yet.
I have not watched any of that. I watched a little surfing yesterday. It was cool.
And congratulations, by the way. San Diego just won a bronze medal in another sport that nobody's really watching. But Hans Henken is a bronze medalist in the men's skiff 49er class of sailing at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Well, it's not surprising that there's some good sailors here in San Diego, and they take home bronze. Kind of an upset as well. They came from way back. They were they did 12 races to get to the medal race, and then got third in the medal race. And congratulations to good old Hans and the bronze medal he's bringing home with his partner Ian from Paris.
Shout out Hans.
All right.
Shout out Ian.
There you go. Maybe they'll listen a little bit longer. Just quickly, just a couple of games last night. It was a light schedule in Major League Baseball. Just a couple of games impacting the wild card race. The Braves opened a 4-game series against Skip Schumacher's Miami Marlins. Skip, if you could just take one of those 4, I'd be happy. Didn't happen last night. Braves won 4-2. It was close. Atlanta picks up a half game. They move 1 game ahead of the Padres for the top wild card spot in the National League. So Padres will start the weekend a game out of the top spot. And then the other game was the Cardinals. They were winning 4-2 in Chicago against the Cubs in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Cubs rallied for 3 in the bottom of the 9th, walked it off for a 5-4 win. Costly loss to the Cardinals, who dropped 2 games out of a playoff spot, 2 games behind the Diamondbacks and 2.5 games behind the San Diego Padres heading into the weekend. But those were the only 2 games with National League playoff implications yesterday.
Getting ready for tonight. I'm excited. I missed the Padres yesterday. Team's playing so well. I do not like off days right now, and yesterday was boring. But, man, just going back to what we were talking about in that 7 o'clock hour, you have got to take care of business, and it starts tonight. Randy Vasquez, really hope he bounces back. Was not thrilled with his last start, but he had been pitching pretty well up until that one. Hopefully that's when you just kind of flush it, forget about it. But, God, you got to beat the Rockies this weekend, man. You got to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't. He had one bad. It was one bad inning. It was the 3rd inning, so he didn't get to finish that inning. But for the most part, I want to think that Randy Vasquez is actually pitching better. He's been solid for a month, and I'm expecting solid Randy Vasquez at home against a much less dangerous lineup than the Baltimore Orioles one he was facing his last time out. The Padres may have won that series. That's a good team with a really, really good lineup. And, yeah, he ran into trouble and had a bad inning. This is a different story. He should pitch better against the Colorado Rockies today. Again, I know I'm tempting fate, but I got to call it like I see it here. I can't just go, yeah, well, the Rockies, they're a really dangerous, good team, and, you got to take them seriously when they come in. Well, you have to take them seriously, but they're not. They're not a good team.
They're an unserious franchise.
The Padres should beat this team. 2 out of 3 minimum. Sweep them is even better. And, of course, that might not happen. But I'm not going to lie to you and say that you should be terrified of the Rockies coming in. No, you should be confident and go play good baseball and do what you absolutely should have done earlier in the season. All right, we'll take a little time out. Paulie's got a roundel report coming up. Last night's NFL game did feature something I want to talk about. I think Paulie's going to bring it up.
I'll take your word for it.
The new rule change in the NFL that was on display yesterday, and some initial thoughts on what is going to look very different from any NFL football you've ever seen in your life going forward this year. Coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I got that 8:41 on a Friday feeling. Always a little nervous. Mike Schultz going to join us at 9 o'clock, our manager's report. I don't know why. We talk to him every single week, but there's always just a little stress involved when you're interviewing the skipper on a Friday morning.
What are you stressed about this week?
Well, I'm stressed about asking him about Michael King and why he's not starting, because he's going to be mad that I ask him.
Hey, man,
but I have to
listen here,
ask him.
Why don't you leave the pitching decisions up to me?
I know. I'm not questioning. See, I hope he understands. I'm not questioning his judgment or knowledge. I'm just curious as to what's going on. And I know maybe it's not in the best interest of the team to
maybe he is pitching
reveal.
on Sundays.
He might be,
It's
but
TBD.
But usually you just name your starters for a series and you leave it at that. Why is Sunday a TBA? Why is it not just Michael King? What could be the alternatives that they're thinking about? I mean, I'm wondering. People want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. So, and of course, get his thoughts on the trade deadline moves and the new Padres, and he's already employed most of them. Have not seen Tanner Scott yet. Looking forward to his debut. I would imagine probably tonight at some point in the game. Maybe setting up Robert Suarez for a save. Who knows how they're going to use him, but we'll get Mike Schultz's thoughts in the manager's report that is coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. Up next, though, Paulie's got some headlines in the Rondo Report right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Finally, some relief on eastbound 52. All lanes now open at Santo Road. They got that gravel out of the way, and they just cleared a crash, same area. So, yeah, seeing a little residual slowing east 52. But again, all lanes open at Santo. Southbound 15, right at the South 805 connector ramp. Accident over to the right shoulder. We saw this crash on northbound 805 past Imperial. No details as to whether that's blocking lanes. And a crash on the coastline, northbound 5, past Las Pulgas. Those vehicles are over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rondo Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
I need some help, please, Paulie. So
All
take it
right.
away on the Rondo Report.
All right, let's start. We had a football game yesterday. I kind of completely forgot about
Monday
that.
Night Football. Are you ready for some football?
It was Thursday.
Yeah, but it was the Monday Night Football ESPN ABC crew.
But it was Thursday.
Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Shouldn't it have been on like Amazon Prime?
I don't know. The days of the week are less important than the branding of the football.
Yeah, well, it was the Hall of Fame game between the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans, and apparently the Bears won.
Chance to see Caleb Williams in action, except for the fact that
Not quite.
Caleb Williams didn't play. Who did play? I don't even know. I had it on TV. I have no idea who played in the game.
Brett Ripien threw for Chicago 166 yards and 3 touchdowns. And we mentioned it at like the very, very beginning of the show today. If you're looking at the box score like I am right now, it tells you that the Bears won 21-0.
Dramatic fourth quarter.
In that fourth quarter, nobody scored. In fact, there's not even zeros in there because they didn't play a fourth quarter.
No, not even most of the third quarter, actually. Isn't the
Thunder-
football
was
the
it
sport
thunder and lightning?
You're supposed to play in the rain? It was a nasty storm. They kept showing the radar coming up like, all the green is just like the regular rain. They had all the oranges and the yellows and the reds, and it was like
don't they play at like a high school field in Canton?
it's like a mini stadium. It's not like a full like NFL type stadium. It's like a quaint older stadium that's attached right there to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I think they realized there's no point in sending. I mean, someone's going to get hurt on a sloppy, muddy field, even if we do go back out. Someone gets struck by lightning. It would have been a bad decision to continue that game when it doesn't really matter. But the game did feature the NFL's brand new kickoff rule that is being implemented this season. I mean, you may have forgotten. It was announced many, many months ago, but when teams kick off, they're no longer going to all line up next to the kicker who then kicks it and you run down the field like our entire lifetime. I mean, they've moved it from the 35 and the 30 and the 35, but this is totally different. So the kicker is the only one who's back where he normally is at the 35 kicking the ball. But then the rest of the coverage team is over on the other side of the field, like I want to say like the 30 or the 35, and then the receiving team, everybody but the guy or the two guys who are deep, they're just 5 yards away, and they're lined up 5 yards away.
So it's going to look more like the XFL?
Yeah, the XFL has done this as well on kickoffs, so the NFL is going to do it. And the idea is pretty simple, reducing those high-speed collisions, like not letting guys who are NFL quality athletes get 40 yards of momentum before they barrel into someone at the field. So it's the 35 and the 30.
The kicker
is
by himself.
back at the 30 kicking off, and then there's one or two guys deep to receive it, and no one moves until the kick is caught by the guy, whether he's catches it at the goal line or at the 5.
So that guy's blockers who have their backs turned to
Right.
him have to also be turned around.
They
and make sure they know.
they react to the team that's going to go. As soon as you see the team twitch, like they're about to run, okay, he's caught it. It's time to go. You see where it's headed, either to your left or your right, over your head, so you know which direction you're kind of blocking. But there is a lot of strategy. They even talked about it on the broadcast last night. Some teams are handling it a little more like the old style. Others are trying to block like it's a play, like a line of scrimmage play, because it is much more like a line of scrimmage than a special teams play now. There's going to be some interesting elements. Now, nothing interesting happened. I think it was returned, the kickoffs, to the 26 and the 26 and the 30 or something. I mean, there was no big breakaways, but the safety is the key here, but not completely taking the kickoff play out of the game. It's the old, we're going to make a change, but not completely making the change because we don't want to just go to, all right, you get the ball at the 25-yard line just to start, and we'll just throw away kickoffs completely.
All right, well, there's your football talk.
Thank you.
FRIAR Friday. We're going to move on to the Olympics. There was a story that kind of took the internet by storm this week.
Quickly, Alex asks, what about the onside kick? You can do an onside kick, but you got to announce it, and then they'll do it the normal way. But it takes,
Okay.
I mean, there's no element of surprise anymore, so it's tough. Unless they didn't implement the 4th and 13 thing that they were going to talk about doing for onside kicks. I don't think they did. They talked about it, though. I'll have to look that up, Alex. Sorry, Polly, go ahead while I look that up.
No, that was very riveting. I'm glad we
right.
talked about it. Thank you. So, Georgia, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say her last name. Villa. She is an Italian gymnast, and the internet lost their
I think
minds.
you say the L's in Italian.
Villa?
If it's 2 L's, you say them together. If it's one, then it sounds like it's a Spanish 2 L's.
Okay, so we'll go with Villa. Georgia Villa is a gymnast for Team Italy, and the internet lost their minds and fell in love with her because they found out that she is partnered up. She has a sponsorship with Parmigiano Reggiano, and she has
the king of cheeses.
Yeah, she has posted many pictures of her and just large chunks and wheels of
cheese.
Parmesan cheese.
I
She
want
is
to be sponsored by Parmesan
Parmesan cheese.
I want to be sponsored by Parmesan cheese. Well, she looks so happy with her big, giant wheels of cheese.
Why would she not be?
That's a great sponsor.
She won a silver medal earlier this week with her team on Tuesday in the all-around final. And she's bringing a silver medal home and a giant wheel of cheese.
No offense to the farmer's dog, which is great for my dogs, but I want to be sponsored by Parmesan cheese. Are you listening out there, Parmesan cheese executives? You've got
Seven Mile Casino. We just wanted to thank you for all the good times.
Yeah,
but,
we're going with Parmesan cheese. Jim says she sold out to Big Parma. Good one, Jim.
I like that.
I mean, there's got to be...
That's got to be one of the greatest sponsorships of all time.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of different cheese makers, though. Is it just there's the Parmesan Cheese Council and they and they are avocados from
how
Mexico?
did that come together?
You know what? I'd also like to be sponsored by avocados too. Let's get that done. We need more food sponsorships. I mean, I love the Kung Pao chicken. I'm kind of sponsored by the Kung Pao chicken at Sammy's at 7 Mile, but
she posts the sponsored content on her Instagram.
What would Woods be sponsored by?
Zen.
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's for sure.
Yeah.
Something very plain. I mean, I'd be sponsored by pizza. Pizza would be a great sponsor.
Just pizza?
Just pizza.
Not like
I mean, we have round
Domino's
table
or
pizza,
Pizza
so we
Hut,
kind of
round
do.
table.
I
Just
mean, we
pizza.
get it, but just in general, just pizza. Ribs. Ben and
Says,
Woods brought to you by Ribs.
It says she signed up for the on-brand partnership with Parmigiano Reggiano and
Manny says, I think that's a Gouda move for her.
a Gouda moves.
You guys are
She
killing-
signed up back
you
in
guys are killing me this
2021
morning.
and said, I'm very happy to be part of the great Parmigiano family. Since I was a child, I've always loved this amazing product, a symbol of excellence and Italian culture. And since today, being able to collaborate with them makes me extremely proud and excited to face future challenges.
Fantastic.
And now she's winning medals in the Olympics.
Ben and Paul, brought to you by ice cream.
What would be your
You love it.
your
We love
dream sponsorship?
I don't know.
I guess you're
Parmesan
like
cheese is really
your
good.
goofy
Is there-
sponsorship.
I mean, is there anything better in the entire the experience of going out to eat at a restaurant when you're at Italian and you order a nice plate of pasta and then the waiter comes with the fresh Parmesan
Say
and asks,
when.
can I offer you some freshly grated Parmesan
You're
cheese?
GD
And
right,
they
you
just
can.
go, and of course, I mean, it's like one of the best things about eating out is the
Say
freshly
when.
grated Parmesan cheese. And I always feel like they're going to judge me like, no, keep going. I mean, it's hard to do too much of that Parmesan cheese on top. And then I feel like sometimes I order something and I know it's not really supposed to have Parmesan cheese on it, but I want it anyway. It's like, can I have some anyway? I mean, just put it on my side dish or something just because I want the Parmesan cheese. I would be the perfect American to be sponsored by Parmesan cheese. They have an Italian gymnast, maybe an American radio host also needs to be sponsored by Parmesan cheese.
I'll send this clip
Or-
over to them and let them know.
I mean, if we're American, I'll be sponsored by cheddar cheese. I like cheddar.
Cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese. Ben and Woods.
I like cheddar.
I like cheddar a lot. Good sharp cheddar. Sharp cheddar cheese is going to bring you our next segment. Well, actually,
Chipotle would sponsor our next segment.
California
if it wasn't by
California Coast Credit or San Diego County Credit Union sponsors our next segment. So let's be clear about that because it is our manager's report with Mike Schilt that is coming up in our next segment. And we will get the latest from the skipper on what's going on with the San Diego Padres post-trade deadline, pitching rotation, the matchups for this weekend, the playoff race, talk about that 2-game sweep of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He as much as he plays up the losses, like, you know, what happened good in the losses and, you know, always is looking on the bright side. He downplays the wins as well. When you'd say, hey, you guys are really rolling right
he
now,
does.
he will go like, yeah, you know, just you know, taking it one at a time and, you know, just trying to play the best baseball we can. He doesn't upplay the wins. He
I
just
think
downplays the losses.
That's, to me, more because he expects them to win every night. And he's like, yeah, that's what we do. Like, we're a good team, and we play good in a game
Right.
like that.
Yeah. And he doesn't single
no big
out
deal
a
to
ton of things. I mean, he'll bring up some good plays and stuff, but it doesn't feel anywhere. It's totally different. It's a totally different vibe when the Padres win. It's like he's cool, he's casual. When they lose, it's like, did you see this? Did you see that, though? I mean, we got a good team here, and he's defending his guys. When they win, it's like, yeah, it's what we're supposed to do. Mike Schilt joins us coming up next year on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, brought to you by Cheese. Final hour of Ben and Woods. Paulie in this week. Well, Paulie's always in, but Paulie's stepping up his game as Woods continues his vacation. I think we mentioned it last week, and Mike Schilt gave him a little bit of a hard time. He's going to miss this one. Right down the pennant race here. Post-trade deadline, all the activity that happened. And
hey, no excitement this week, though. At least he didn't miss anything fun.
Woods has missed all the fun of sweeping the Dodgers 2 games, and it is time right now for our manager's report with Mike Schilt, brought to you by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking. It is better. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm good. Now, I know you're busy, obviously. You got things to worry about, but there's been some off days, and you got some travel. Have you watched any of the Olympics yet? And if so, do you have a favorite event?
Wow, you kind of caught me on that one.
Yeah.
Watched a very little of the Olympics last night. Having dinner. Loved the Olympics. Loved the dedication, regardless of sport. You know, you're talking about some real dedication. A lot of those athletes aren't in monetized sports. They do it for the absolute love and passion of their sports, and I just love the purity of it, the competition of it. You know, enjoyed watching the gymnastics last night. Favorite Summer Olympic? It's hard to say, really. I just enjoy the competition of all of it.
There's no wrong answer. Although Paulie just said, ask him about, because they're talking about doing baseball at the 2028 games, maybe with Major League Baseball players. Now, that would be a logistical nightmare, especially for a Major League Baseball manager taking, 2 weeks off in the middle of the season, extending the All-Star break. Is that something you'd want to see?
You know, 2 things. Want to see it, yes. I love the game being represented internationally and the best players competing internationally. I love the WBC. I think it's a fantastic venue. The timing just doesn't make sense for it in our sport. So I don't see logistically how it works out from a competitive standpoint and a health standpoint.
All right, so the trade deadline, and AJ's always been very active and, of course, made some big deals, really bolstered the bullpen. Give me your thoughts on the moves, the acquisition of, obviously, Tanner Scott, Jason Adam. We saw him in the first game. We saw Hoeing. You got him in as well already, incorporating some of the new guys into your team.
Yeah, I mean, AJ, he did a great job of, bolstering that bullpen, and Perez is a nice addition. We'll see him tomorrow night to the rotation. Fills the need there, and we got 2 really, really solid, capable, experienced back of the end guys in Scott and Adam, and Adam was really good. Got him an inning the other night, and very efficient with what he was able to do. And Hoeing came in and threw strikes, and our reports of him are very positive too. So definitely nice additions to the club. We're excited to have them.
I'm curious because you said, obviously, you can't be quite as aggressive as you were the first day in terms of going to the bullpen and like the 5th inning every single day, but you are going to be able to be a little more aggressive with more options down there. But in some ways, nothing really changes. I know how you kind of talk about having lanes for each of your pitcher and matchups that you like. I'd imagine you're simply going to have more matchups that you like, and you'll set them up on a kind of a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, that's how bullpens work. As far as your aggressive comment, I mean, yeah, appropriately, there's still 8 guys down there who need to be taken care of and pitch and be rested and, create opportunities for them in the right spots. But again, it can't be just aggression for the sake of aggression, because it doesn't work for those guys to pitch every day.
Did work out really well, though, on Tuesday. What a fun game that was. And you've talked about all year the lack of quit. And I don't see baseball players quitting that often. I can't imagine you've seen it much in your career. But there's a difference between not quitting and actually, fighting all the way to the end and coming back and pulling out some of the games like you did. Where do you kind of see that line between guys who are clearly giving their all and then that extra that it takes to actually pull off a comeback like you guys did against the Dodgers?
I think it's just really about guys. It's a longer conversation than this. It's a tough question. You're bringing it today, my man.
I asked the tough ones. You know me. But wait until the ones I still have in store for you.
I can't wait, man. I don't. It's a deeper answer to the question. I mean, no player's going to really quit. So that part is fair. But it's a degree of tenacity consistently in a, almost daily, highly competitive environment. And that's the real challenge. And that becomes the subhuman part of really big league players, being able to bring that mentally and physically every day over the course of, in some cases 162 games. And we got a lot of guys that love to play, that are regulars, that love that competition, that bring it. But it really does get to be a little bit more about the dedication, the heart, and the ability to mentally bring it every day as much as the physical ability. That's really, quite honestly, a big separator for players and teams at this level.
Talking to Padres manager Mike Schilt this morning, the manager's report. Mike, we have heard here in San Diego in particular over the years, all the time, we just haven't played our best baseball yet. We have heard it from manager after manager after manager, season after season after season. You guys have played extremely well since the All-Star break. That road trip was just really, really impressive. Is this team right now playing its best baseball, or is there possibly more in store?
It's playing its most consistent baseball in all variables. It's really, I've said this all year. The game can be hard. You try to make it as simple as possible. Tony always said that, and it's true. It's just about the consistency of all the different parts of the team working together, and that's what we have. We've been able to get really, really good starting pitching. It starts there. You mentioned about the aggression of the bullpen. That aggression is allowed through, days off or starters being able to go deep. That's a recipe that always exists over the course of a longer season. But the starting pitch has been really good. Bullpen, as you mentioned, been bolstered and been very effective. The offense has been able to execute. We've really had relentless at bats and been able to score runs and run the bases well, and our defense has been clean. So when that happens together, you're going to get your best opportunity to shake hands, which is what we expect to do and have done.
All right, I know you're going to downplay this because it's all about your players, and you're going to give them the credit, and they absolutely deserve the credit. But I thought the 10th inning on Tuesday was maybe like your finest moment of the season of managing, and how you pulled the strings in that inning, leading to the eventual pinch hitting of Jake Cronenworth. You don't see a pinch hitter come in for a number 3 guy that often, but it worked out perfectly with Donovan Solano. The bunt from Arise to set it all up. Can you just kind of take me through like your thinking as you're going into an inning like that and how it may unfold?
Yeah, the players execute, man. You just do the best you can to put them in those spots. First of all, Suarez did a great job in the top of the 10th. 1, 2, 3, lead the guy stranded at second base to put us in a really good spot. Not sure what they're going to do. They got a lot. It's a tough situation. Once you're starting the bottom half of the inning, and you got the guy on second base. They got Vesey, the lefty, on the mound, and they pitched around Higgy. I give Higgy a lot of credit. He recognized what they were doing and wasn't going to chase to try to be the hero. Was just going to take what the game gave him, and the game was telling him that they weren't going to pitch to him. And so he took his walk, and then Louis got the bunt down, which puts them putting Profar on because they're not going to pitch to Pro.
And you knew that. You knew they would do that.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword of the decision. And they're probably not going to really pitch to him anyway, quite frankly. Even if the base is open, if something doesn't happen with the Rise. But Vesey is a ground ball guy against lefties, and so you move him over. They do what they do with Pro, and then Solano's really good, taking big at bats, definitely good against lefties, and it just made sense.
Yeah, dodge the double play possibility with the lefty ground ball matchup with the Rise. Get the right-hander up, and maybe even catch the Dodgers a little off guard as they didn't have their righty ready. Well, great job there. Now the Rockies are coming to town. Obviously a team that you've had some trouble with earlier this season. Is that at all part of the equation as you get ready for this series? I know it's not about revenge or anything. You're just trying to win every game. But is there anything you can learn from those games earlier this season against Colorado?
We just, I mean, it gets back to how we execute earlier. Same answer. I don't want to be a broken record, but our starting pitchers need to go deeper in games, and we need to be able to take advantage of our opportunities offensively and play clean, and our bullpen needs to be able to bring it home. So we do those things. You can insert the opponent. It's going to be the same basic how it works.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Talking to Mike Schilt, and this is one I have to ask just to do my job. Got Randy Vasquez scheduled for tonight, and I saw Martin Perez, as you mentioned, tomorrow. Team says TBA for Sunday. Is there anything we need to know? Michael King hasn't pitched since last Saturday. He's looked fantastic. Are you trying to rest him up? Is there any concerns? Any insight you can kind of shed on the Sunday pitching decision here?
Yeah, it's something I usually announce or we talk about in our media session before the game.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I told you he wasn't going to answer that one, but I had to ask it. So there, asked.
Yeah. No,
and
it's fair to ask. It's fair.
Asked and not answered. I know people are just kind of curious, and there's a lot of explanations for it. I'm not trying to create a panic.
No, I don't want any panics either. I mean, effectively, if you really must know, Michael's still dealing with the comebacker, and he's a little sore from the comebacker he took in his last start, and he needs a couple extra days.
Didn't mean to, put you under the hot lights and give you the third degree there, Mike, but I totally understand that. That makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure that the Padres fans who are listening are going, okay, that makes a lot of sense right now. As for the other guys, Joe Musgrove, we heard, is going to be throwing again on Sunday is the plan, and things are going well with him. How about Toddy? Just anything you can share about those guys and their comeback?
Joe's going to get a rehab assignment yet to be determined on Sunday at one of the affiliates. Toddy's still in a good place recovering, but not in a place where he is cleared to ramp up baseball activity yet. But is hitting in the cage, looks good, feels good, is doing some low impact things that allows him to test and see where he's at, and then kind of take it from there. But we don't have anything definitive on Toddy at the moment. But Joe's trending in a really good place and get his rehab assignment on Sunday.
And before you go, I want to bring it up because it's so important. I don't want to downplay getting a guy like Xander back and what he's been doing lately. Just the impact that he's had, not just on the field. Obviously, he's hitting like crazy right now, but just getting his experience and leadership back on a day-to-day basis. What's that meant for your team lately?
It's huge. I mean, this guy was signed for a multitude of reasons. One of the primary ones, obviously, he's a really good player. So having him back in there in the middle of the lineup and being impactful, which he's been a real big part of our lineup over the last little bit before the All-Star break when he came back, but definitely since the post break, and so that part's been great. But just the fact that this is a guy that has an understanding of what it takes to win. He's won 2 world championships with his FRIAR club, and just a really good influence of what that looks like, and models it very well, and just a real pro. So, it's an asset to have him back on the club for sure.
Well, I just want to thank you. I know you were going to save that for, like Dennis Lynn and AJ Cassavell later today in your scrum, but shared it with our listeners. They do really appreciate it. I see that in our chat right now. They're going, thanks for the info. Makes perfect sense, and we do appreciate you, Skip, and we're in your corner, and we're cheering for you this weekend against the Colorado Rockies. Keep up the good work, man, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great day.
There he is, Mike Schilt. Had to, pull out his fingernails and give him the hose and just got it out of him.
Oh man, when's the next time you plan on going down there? Because he's gonna
never. I just don't go down anymore. I cannot face the man in person anymore. It's just like he's just withering glare, and I can't even take Tony Gwynn Jr.'s rolled eyes. Can you imagine how quickly I'd melt when Mike Schilt gives me that same eye roll when he sees me? My goodness gracious.
We're going to be out at spring training next February or March, and Schilt's going to come over for an interview, and Ben's just going to be like, hello, Mike Schilt, how are you?
I hope the tier ones appreciate how hard that is for me. I am a nice guy. I do not like making other people uncomfortable.
Woods lives
for it. I don't like it, but I feel like it's my job. Sometimes I have to do it. I don't want him to feel uncomfortable. I really am not. I'm cheering for him. I like him. I think he's smart. I think he's a good manager. He's a good guy. but sometimes he doesn't want to answer my questions, and I have to ask them, and it's not a comfortable thing to do every Friday morning. So I hope everyone appreciates.
Oh man,
Michael King, absolutely understandable, and we forget because he took the liner in the first inning, and then he went and pitched great after that. So you think, oh, well, there's no big deal, and then he started again.
Of course,
but of course, he's probably got a big old knot type bruise thing going on, so you want to just be careful with what they're doing with him, and maybe he'll start, maybe they want to give him a couple more days, but certainly better than anything with the arm or he's hitting a little bit of fatigue or something. No, guy got nailed by a 113 mile an hour line drive in the leg, and it doesn't feel great, people, which was pretty much the answer politely that Mike Schilt gave us about why he's got a TVA on Sunday instead of one of the guys who's been one of the best pitchers in the National League behind Dylan Cease in over the last couple of months. Really has been. All right. Well, there we go. Let's take a timeout.
You okay?
We can react to that.
Hey,
if you want to
do me a
join us,
favor.
we can take some phone calls. 833-288-0973. I mean, Woodsy makes me feel uncomfortable.
Just take a deep breath.
Mike Schilt makes me feel uncomfortable, but we get through it. We do. And we do it for you. The Tier 1s and the Padres fans out there on San Diego's #1 sports station. Kelly's got some traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Just to show no ill feelings, because I want Mike Schilt's team to do well. I'm going to give the Rally Roach a little kiss, even though Paulie's already kissed it and didn't wash it. But here, keep it safe. Keep it, because we may need this for the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah.
If the Rally Roach is still a thing by the time we get to October, we'll know that we've got something special on our hands. So, Rally Roach back in play this weekend for your San Diego Padres. And if you missed it, our thanks again to the forthcoming Mike Schilt, who under the third degree did admit that Michael King is still dealing with the after effects of that comebacker, that line drive he took. He's a little sore, and that's why the team is still waiting on a decision about Sunday's starter, TBA at this point. But he didn't sound overly concerned and said he probably was going to share it to everyone later in the scrum before the game. But I said, you know what, we're tight. We're close. You can share it with just us and the
Every
tier
once in a
ones.
while.
If you want us to keep it quiet for a few hours,
okay.
We're not. We're going to tweet it out all over the place and make sure everybody in San Diego knows. I mean, how mad are Kevin Acey and Dennis Lynn and AJ Cassavell right now that they didn't get to tweet that out first this afternoon, that we actually get to do it this morning here on the Ben and Woods program. That's the value of a relationship right there.
You did a very good
Mike
job.
Schilt.
I'm very proud of you. I know that was not easy.
All right. You want to go out to the phone lines a little bit? 833-288. Not really? All right. Well,
Go for it, though.
all right. Let's see. We
It's
got
too late.
Dean on the line. 833-288-0973. Good morning, Dean. How are you? Maybe this isn't Dean. Who's on the air? Who's this? You're there. I hear you. Going once. Going twice. Sold. You're probably right, Paulie. I shouldn't have gone to the phone lines. It's never a good idea. It's Friday, though. It's been a long week. My voice is actually starting to get a little bit scratchy just from talking too much. I would say, who does more talking between me and Woods, would you say, over the course of a show?
I just can't believe that happened.
What?
Oh, just that call.
All right, that's fine.
Who does more talking?
Yeah. Who would you say does more talking over the course of a program? That's just like literally makes more noises come out during the 4 hours of our show.
I really don't know. I would say it's a pretty even split.
I would say that on a normal day when the three of us are here, it's about 50% Woods, 40% me, and 10% you.
I think that's fair.
Does that sound about right?
I was thinking of it in like a segment, like a 15-minute segment. You talk most in the first couple of minutes, kind of coming back from commercial break, setting up the segment, whatever we're about to talk about.
Sure.
And on the back end of wrapping it up, teasing the next segment, throwing to traffic.
Yeah,
and it's a lot more Woods
that's true.
in the middle.
But Woods, when he talks, when he's got something going, he gets ahead of steam.
Yeah.
I just let him go. There's no reason to interrupt Woods when he's on a good train of thought. And sometimes he'll go for 2 or 3 minutes straight.
Right.
So I don't know what the exact breakdown is, but I do feel like now when it's the two of us, it's more like obviously 70-30%. You're talking like 3 times more than you normally do.
Yeah.
But I'm like talking twice as much as I normally do. So we're getting to Friday here, and I could actually feel the effects of Woods not being here over the last few days, just physically, of his non-presence this week in what that feels like. Aren't you a little more tired than normal?
I'm exhausted.
This week? Yeah, it's
yes.
for someone who just sits here for 4 hours. And it doesn't look like you would never think that this is a physically demanding job. And compared to, like logger or something, obviously it isn't. You'd be surprised at how tiring, though, 4 hours of radio can be, especially on a week like this when Woods isn't here. And I'm not looking for sympathy.
A 4-hour show feels like an 8-hour day.
But it does feel like a full day.
Yeah.
Let's try.
Roland in the chat says, Ben talks more efficiently. Woods just talks more.
That's fair. I think that's fair, which is fine. That's just his personal style, and that's how he sounds and how I sound. That's why I go to the phones, though. I'm hoping someone else can talk.
We're gonna try it
and
again,
give us both a break. Matt, talk for a few seconds just so I can take a break and my voice can be spared.
So I just got back in my truck and I missed the big breaking news. What was it?
It's not breaking. It's Michael King. It took a comebacker. We all saw it. He took a 113-mile-an-hour line drive. He's pitched twice since then, but he's still got a little soreness, and they just didn't want to commit entirely to him starting on Sunday yet. It was a pretty non-headline-y headline that made a lot of sense when Mike Shildt said it. It's just the way baseball teams work. When they get so mysterious and like they don't want to say, we then speculate and imagine the worst in our heads and like, oh my goodness, are they putting him on the injured list? What's going on? Is there elbow trouble? We've had him. He's already had Tommy John surgery in our mind. And then when the reality comes out and they say, yeah, you remember that time he got hit like a week and a half ago by a 113-mile-an-hour line drive? Big shocker. That still hurts a little bit. So we're just going to keep an eye on him before the next start. It's really a big nothing, but obviously we're curious about what's going on. So we ask the question, right? I mean, it's totally fair on both sides. But yeah, I mean, when you hear it, it's like, well, yeah, that totally makes sense. Could you not have tweeted that out a couple of days ago or just, called someone and just let him know?
Asked about it on Wednesday night.
Well, no, they didn't. So after Wednesday night's game, he did his post-game normal.
Was he not asked?
And he was asked, and he said, we have a couple of discussions, and we'll let you know about the pitching probables. And then the PR staff sent out an email and said, here's the pitching probables for the series, and no one got to talk to Mike Shildt again, and it was Vasquez, Perez, and TBA. And so since Wednesday night, when they made that announcement for the last 34 hours, everyone's been going, oh, what does that mean for Michael King? Why is he not starting? What's going on?
Sure.
And, had it happened, in his last start and he had not pitched, probably it would have been pretty obvious. But because he went out and pitched so effectively his last couple of times, or his last time, you just don't think about it. Well, but obviously it happened. We all saw it happen. No big shocker there. So I understand that. So, all right. Thank you for the call, Matt, and the question for the big breaking news. If you want to simply spare me from some talking, you can join us, 833-288-0973. I know Ben's spares me from about 3 to 4 minutes of talking at this point, so we can get to that.
We'll get to some likes.
Coming up in our next segment. Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, Annie Elston coming up at the top of the hour, and Craig texted me. He's absolutely right. It was his last start that he got hit by the line drive. It feels, with all the off days, it feels like it was longer ago. And Jeffrey in the chat says, yeah, with the trade deadline and sweeping the Dodgers, in reality, it wasn't even 7 days ago that Michael King took the 109-mile-an-hour line. And it was the first batter of the game, right? And then he stayed in and pitched the whole game after that. So it makes it feel like it was longer ago, but it actually did happen. Craig and Annie can react to that coming up on Annie and Elston in just about 25 minutes. Still have Things Ben Likes coming up, and we do have some callers on the line. As much as Paulie doesn't want to
keep trying, aren't you?
As much as Paulie doesn't want to do it, I'm ready to do it at this point. And I see some good names on here. So shout out to Jeffrey and Harry and Mike. You're next up here after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Okay.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. The roads are winding down nicely, guys. That includes that eastbound side of the 52 now that they wrapped up all that gravel cleanup near Santo Road. Yeah, you are looking good both directions. And really, we're not seeing any brake lights anywhere around the county. No incidents or accidents getting in your way. In peak wildfire season is a last resort. SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Padres Rockies tonight, 6:40, normal start time. Sammy with his Eco Water SoCal pregame show at 5:40. But until then, talking about what you want to talk about, I see Jeffrey on the line. Jeffrey, welcome to Ben and Paul here on a Friday.
Please tell me it's this Jeffrey with a G.
Yes, Jeffrey with a Geoffrey.
Well, I will get you off the hook and talk for a while, if I may, because I was in Baltimore this past weekend for all three games, and I met some very informative Jackson Merrill fans, several of whom went to high school with him, and they shared photos and stories of Jackson with me, and they said that when he was a senior, there would be like 50 scouts coming to scout him, and then they had classmates they would form these giant groups to watch the scouts watch Jackson. So the hype I can't remember where he grew up. It's near Baltimore, but the amount of Jackson Merrill fans that were at all three of those games was unreal. In fact, on the Sunday game, I sat in front of little kids who went to his elementary school. He's that popular that they traveled all the way, and they had little cutout heads of Jackson Merrill. They were freaking out every time he was doing something. And just the amount of fans in Baltimore for Jackson Merrill, you would think that when he got a hit, they were cheering for like a home player, like Gunnar Henderson or something, or Adley Rutschman. But it was incredible how much they love Jackson Merrill over there, and it just made me feel really good to hear they were like, this kid's rookie of the year in our opinion. He's the next big thing. And you guys, we love watching him, and he's the only player we care about, even though we're O's fans. We root for Jackson Merrill 100% of the time.
He obviously, Jeff, has a good support system with the parents who are traveling. And
they were interviewing his parents. His mom said there was like
they've interviewed Jackson's parents? Really?
Yeah.
They were?
Yeah.
Shocking.
I know. Which time? I don't know. In Baltimore. She said there was like a couple hundred people that traveled for those games.
Well, they've distributed all the Merrill Madness T-shirts. I mean, I even wear mine. They've gotten those things out everywhere. They have got there is a Merrill machine that is going on, and it takes a village. I mean, to raise a Major League Baseball player, especially one obviously that has been as driven and focused as Jackson Merrill is. You don't do that without support of parents and friends and coaches and teammates. I mean, it's been an effort, but I mean, the results have been unbelievable with Jackson Merrill. To get to where he is at this young age, it's incredible.
Did you see when his mom was being interviewed during the game? They interviewed his parents during the game. She talked about Merrill Madness and how
I did not see this.
It's more of a charitable aspect to it.
Oh, really?
Which
Okay.
I had no idea. I thought it was just a fun family
hype.
hashtag.
I thought it was just hype. Yeah.
And that's how it started, but it became this way to raise money for kids to play travel ball or play sports like because that's all he did growing up was wanted to play baseball, wanted to be on this team or this select team, and you needed this equipment and all that. I believe that's what she said, and I thought, so it wasn't just like a catchy hashtag that they came up with. That's how it began, but there has been more of a charitable aspect to it.
Well,
It's really
yeah,
cool.
and Elisa in the chat says, they used it to help fund travel ball, which is really expensive. Now, remember, his travel ball team was based in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he lives in Maryland.
I played
so-
travel ball in Seattle when I was in high school. We had a kid from Alaska that came down to play with us. Like,
I
it
mean,
was crazy.
it's not just traveling to the tournaments, but sometimes you got to travel to the home games and practices and everything that goes along with that. And, living probably in hotels during the summer while you're, with your team and you're not in school, the commitment required to become a professional athlete is not just the that internal dedication to waking up early and working out and going to the cages and doing everything. It's a financial, commitment nowadays. It's very hard, and it's not necessarily a great thing, but it's very hard if you don't have resources to be able to put in to get the coaching, to get the equipment.
It's very expensive.
To get the competition that you would need to get to the level that you're going to get noticed by scouts, whether it's for college or to be drafted. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of money, and there are some good people out there who try to, provide opportunities for those who are disadvantaged and don't have that, but obviously have the passion and have the raw talent to do that. But how many get fall through the cracks because they just didn't have that chance? They didn't have a great support system like Jackson Merrill's, but his support system has come through for him and really, sent him to an amazing place at an incredibly young age with an incredibly good head on his shoulders.
I was just going to say, he's got a very good head on his shoulders. You can tell he was raised right. His family seems just lovely. I love everything about this kid. He's the real deal.
I mean, you keep waiting. Okay, you're going to make a misstep here at some point, right? I mean, not one. And we've seen young guys come up, Matt Bush, who stepping it right away, that, just the signing and having money and whatever for the first time, and they go off the rails. And it's understandable.
I was going to say,
really.
you expect it and you understand it.
And even for rookies who get it, like Jackson, you expect, he's going to say the wrong thing to the media at some point. There's going to be some sort of run-in. Literally nothing you can say bad about Jackson Merrill at this point in his career. Nothing.
Yeah.
Even when he gets in a slump, he doesn't show frustration. He's just like, nope, I'm going to break right out of it. I mean, the kid has an unbelievable attitude. He really does. And it served him incredibly well. Jeff, Geoff with a G, thank you for the call. Thank you for being in the chat regularly. The chat loves to hear from you. Let's go to Harry. You are next up here with Ben and Paul on 97.3 The Fan. Hi, Harry.
Hi, good morning, guys.
Morning.
I want to change the subject a little bit and talk about the people we normally talk about firing this time of year. Victor Rodriguez is an MVP for the culture he's built with the hitting and how quickly he's changing these slumps. These slumps are short-lived because of him, I believe.
I am normally the kind of guy who goes, we have put way too much blame on the hitting coaches for something that is not their fault.
They get all the blame and very little of the praise.
So why, if I haven't been blaming the hitting coaches, should I really give a ton of credit to the hitting coach this time? It's always on the players more than the coaches in my mind, especially on the big league level in professional baseball. However, Harry, there's clearly a philosophy. And whether it's a Schilt or a Victor Rodriguez or an A.J. Preller or an organizational change, there's been a philosophy that has been very effective for the Padres this year. And Victor Rodriguez talks about it. We want to hit line drives. We want to use our ballpark. We're not swinging for the fences. We're trying to make contact. We're trying not to strike out. And it really goes against what a lot of other organizations are going. They want a walk or a home run, and they'll take a ton of strikeouts to do it. But the Padres are like, no, we want to put the ball in play, and we'll take some bloop hits. We'll take some line drive outs. We know it's all part of the equation. Hopefully we run into a few, and they have. The Padres are 12th in home runs in baseball, which doesn't sound great. It sounds middle of the pack. But when you think about the fact that
sounds better than when they've been in the past.
But when you think about it from the perspective of they're also near the bottom in strikeouts and the top in batting average, to combine that with being 12th in home runs all of a sudden you have a really, really good offense. Like Luis Arraez is never going to be at the top in home runs. He's not going to be middle of the pack in home runs because he hits so many, his line drives the way he plays. But as a team, the Padres are more Luis Arraez in terms of batting average, best batting average in baseball. But in power, they're really solid. They're still in the upper half of baseball when it comes to power. That's a devastating combination that they have managed to put together this year. Now, why they couldn't do it in other years, I've got no idea. This isn't the first.
The pitching coaches or the hitting coaches' fault.
But this isn't the first time I've heard a hitting coach at Petco Park say, hey, it's a big ballpark. We need to hit more line drives. We need to use the gaps. I've heard that for 20 years since Petco Park opened. And rarely have the Padres been able to accomplish it. So, yes, Victor Rodriguez, there's some credit that needs to be offered to a Padres hitting coach. For the first time in a long time, he does deserve. You're absolutely right. Good call there. And then, Mike, you can wrap it up here for us today. You got about a minute. What's on your mind, Mike?
Damn, I was going to go 3 topics. But, hey, I want you guys to take full credit for this. I picture you and Woodsy for COVID in the your parents' house, correct?
Corona Cave, yeah, in the guest house, yep.
Okay, how in the hell does Dylan Cease and Joe Musgrove not have a podcast called No Podcast?
That's a great idea. I mean, did you see that?
I want you guys to have full credit.
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, did you see Dylan Cease's shirt that he was wearing yesterday? The San Diego No Club, and in the O's is his face and Joe's face. Someone made that already. It's amazing. Good job to whoever did that. Did you see that the Kelsey brothers who started their podcast? What's it called? It's got a weird name.
New Heights.
New Heights. That sounds like a real estate podcast or development. They want to sell it for like $100 million or something. Something crazy.
Probably going to get it.
And they're probably going to get it. Yeah. Joe and Dylan, you're missing out on a great opportunity here of starting your No podcast at Joe's house, talking pitching. I mean, I don't know that I want them to be the Kelsey brothers of the NFL, but if they wanted to, I mean, with Dylan's kind of thoughtfulness and Joe's intensity, and I mean, I would definitely listen to the Dylan and Joe No podcast.
They only interview
pitchers who have thrown a no-hitters.
I mean,
Bud Smith,
right there, you guys.
Bud Smith is our guest today. He threw a no-hitter against the Padres about 24 years ago, and we're going to catch up and see where he is today. That's it for us, except for some likes to finish our week. Good week, Paulie.
Very good week.
Yeah,
that was a fun freaking week.
It was a pretty fun week that was missed out on.
We had some dramatic games with the trade deadline. Everybody just pulling a little extra weight with Woodsy gone, but man, I had fun this week.
And guess what? He'll still be gone on Monday and Tuesday. So let's hear some likes before we go. I like good, juicy, sweet strawberries.
I like a good marching band. I like a good thin pancake.
I like a Nickelback song or two.
I like a barbecue chicken pizza. I really like those seeds. I like a midnight buffet. I kind of like the smell of soft scrub. I like more of a small derriere. I like cake.
I like Ed Sheeran.
I like both a hamburger and a cheeseburger. I like clocks. I like how I've kind of set up my life. I like grasshopper pie.
Oh, no, I like it creamy. I like good, firm banana.
I like just looking out at the sea. I like eating.
I like moist.
I like curry.
I like big butts.
I like fried Brussels sprouts. I like more of a firm filling. I like corn.
I like Nordstrom. I do like musicals.
I like pepperoni. I like nice hotels. I like Nick getting a start today. I like nuts. I like Steph Curry. I like that song.
I like Squirt.
I like sake. I like San Diego State.
I like Straight Up, Paula Abdul.
I like the beef and broccoli. I like to mix it up. I like Science Experiments. I like that song. I like the crispiness of the waffle. I really like cheese. I like the little lunch meat. I like very straight lines. I like cannelloni. I like a well-crafted headline. I like brown sugar. I like maps. I'll say I like Justin Turner.
I like going to golf games. I like diving into chores.
I like sugar.
I do like Butterfinger. I like blue and silver are not bad colors. I like the time change. I like Major League Baseball's new rule. I like the radio. I like geography. I like the knuckle method. I like Skippy. And I like pie. And I like Bob Melvin. I really do. I like Jace Tingler, too. I like this day. I like being right. I still do like movie scores. I like good food. I like maps. I like when interviews can turn into organic conversation. I do like a Stouffer's French bread pizza. I like having the wind go through my hair. I think I like shows that the characters have an arc. I like the full lettuce, tomato, onion experience as well. I like those kind of burgers. I like that big overflowing bag of fries. I like those little Smarties rolls. I liked what I saw from Seth Lugo. I liked his competitive fire. I like walking around between the different lands. Steve Kerr, though, I like that. I like living on the coast. I like watching Tiger still. I like the idea of that matchup. I liked what I saw in the preseason. I like the aloneness sometimes of Texas Hold'em. I like watching San Diego State basketball. I like those cashew-buttered cashews. I like cold, clear sake. I like a lot of things. I like Chick-fil-A sauce. I just like rankings. I like Steve Winwood. I like Pie Gal Poker. I like to be informed on subjects. I like Chicago. I like Tom Petty. I like the idea of another left-handed bat in the lineup for sure. I do like a good Matt Damon film. I like being on the same page. I like broccoli. I like Brussels sprouts. I like a lot of things. I like this shirt. I like Wipeout. I liked my omelet. I like San Diego State at home. I like when a baseball player can be more than just a baseball player. I like vanilla. I like the atmosphere. I like the felt on a poker table, just kind of how it feels under your fingers when you're there. I like rhubarb pie. I like the window seat. Changing the subject. I like that. I like just the standard yellow peep. I like how San Diego State's playing right now. I like finer things. I like calling a game. I like fiction more than nonfiction, just like the cream. I actually like playing golf with other people. I've liked everything I've seen so far from Mike Schill. I like Mexican food. I like just the solar system. I do like steak. I like specifics. I like going to 7 Mile Casino during the day. I like that people are there having a good time. I like my new eating schedule. I liked what I was eating. Yeah, I like the variety of the menu at Sammy's. I do like a good midnight buffet. And now that we've learned about the Italian gymnast who's sponsored by Parmesan cheese, Paulie, I feel like this has opened the door. All of Ben's likes could just be sponsors of the show.
Oh, you'd be rolling it.
Ben and Woods, brought to you by Cashew Butter Cashews.
There's always a new...
Ben and Woods, brought to you by Cake.
We've been collecting Ben likes for a little while now, and we've been playing that most, not all, but most Fridays. There's still always one or two that make me laugh or stand out to me. And you saying, I like blue and silver, they're not bad colors, kills me every time. Like, what is a bad color?
I do like a good Matt Damon film.
He's got a new one coming
This
out.
segment on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Grasshopper Pie. Because we can be sponsored by food items now. It's the revelation of the Olympics that it's there. All right, we are done for today. We will take 2 days off, and then we'll be back without Woodsy on Monday and Tuesday, and then he'll be back on Wednesday to tell us all about his vacation, and we'll probably make fun of him for everything he's missed. Hopefully the Padres have a good weekend against the Rockies, and we'll talk about it Monday morning at 6 a.m. Annie, Elston, Braden, ready to come up next. Paulie, good work this week.
Good work, my
Outstanding,
friend.
sir.
That was
For
fun.
executive producer, imaging director, co-host Paul Reindl. I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Friday. From all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long.